Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode. I have no actual idea.
360.
There you go, 360 for the week of July 10th, 2018. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here this week?
Brock Sager.
Spinning it like a record, right round, Bryce Larsen.
Kevin Sharp.
And Charlie.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Nice haircut.
No, yeah, it's a little shorter than anticipated.
Great radio.
I know.
The story is great radio.
We have a bunch of stuff to talk about this week, so we're going to talk about all those things, like sales charts and Ant-Man and some other stuff. If you want no spoilers on Ant-Man, skip the back half of this podcast. But for everything else, keep it locked right here.
Should we keep it loaded?
Keep it locked and loaded. We're waiting for Toby, and Toby hates sales charts. So while we're waiting for Toby, why don't we do our sales charts for June 2018? You guys like sales charts?
Love the sales charts. Hashtag love the sales charts. Hashtag hate the hub. Hashtag Batman is California.
What are the top 10 comics sold to North American comic book stores estimated for the month of June 2010? You guys want 2010? Also 2018. You guys want
that? Would be a hard question.
Top 10 2018. I got it here too.
June 2010.
Love,
top 10 titles.
Love the Comic-Con.
Batman 49, number one book.
Batman 48 and 49 are on this list. They are not the number one book. Batman 48 is the number 6 book at 112,000 copies. 49 is the number 5 book with 121,000.
I'm sorry, the number one book.
Amazing Spider-Man 800.
No, that was the month prior.
Okay, 801 then.
Batman 49 was the cover with the art germ. That amazing art germ cover, and it sold, roughly 10,000 copies more. So that's actually low. Art germ cover and the main cover is Joker. I'm surprised it actually sold that low. I thought it would have sold a lot more.
Justice League number 1.
Amazing Spider-Man number 1 is a number 4 book. Amazing Spider-Man 801 is a number 4 book at 122,000. A lot of variant covers for that big last issue for Dan Slott. Justice League number 1 is the number 1 comic of June 2018. That is estimated sales of 200,000 copies. So big numbers for Justice League number 1. And hey, look what happens when you have 5 variant covers. You don't sell 85,000 copies. You sell 200,000 copies. So
gotta love that. Hashtag love the variants. Said nobody but me.
Said everyone. Everyone loves variants.
Well, except for when it's Marvel beating DC in numbers.
If you go back to early episodes of the podcast,
Nope.
you can find lots of variant hatred.
My fingers are in my ears. I'm not listening to you, Charlie.
No.
That's true.
Ryan, does Bendis appear anywhere on this top 10?
No. Men of Steel.
What?
2, 3, 4, and 5 are on here, but they're the 14th, 15th, 16th, and 18th book.
So even with Bendis, Superman can't...
Well, we talked about the no variant covers and all that last sales charts. Like, they screwed up putting out those books.
Guarantee you Superman number 1 and Action number 1 are both top 10 books. Or Action 1001 are both top 10 books because they both have 4 variant covers.
X-Men Gold 30.
X-Men Gold 30 is on here. Number 9 spot at 88,000 copies. Actually, much lower than I anticipated. Oh, I'm sorry. Justice League number 2 is on here as well. You mentioned number 1. Number 2 is on here at 86,000 copies. So clearly... when you only have 2 covers as opposed to 5 covers in the number 1. So that's actually maybe a little lower than I anticipated. I wonder if that number is going to bump up because I know they did sell out of Justice League number 2, but they didn't sell out of number 1 at Diamond. 2 and maybe 3 sold out as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Justice League numbers go a little bit higher.
What are we missing?
Walking Dead.
No,
Walking
Dead 180 is the number 13 book.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see.
What happened with Saga? Saga used to be a regular mainstay, but we haven't heard about it in several months.
Not in the top 10.
But didn't it used to always... Or no, is that only graphic novels that it was only in the top 10?
It's always the number 1 graphic novel the month it comes out.
Oh.
But the single issues hovers like 40s or 50s or something like that. I don't know, other than issue number 1, that it's ever been a top 10 book.
Oh.
Yeah, Saga's rarely in the top 10. Immortal Hulk number 1 is a number 11 book at 84,000 copies, so it won't be that. We got Justice League X-Men Gold. Number 8 and number 7 are both number... Actually, the 4 left are all number 1s. 3 from Marvel, 1 from Image. What else came out in June? 3 of them have movies based on these characters.
I'm going to say Deadpool number one something.
Deadpool number 1 is on there. 105,000 copies. That's the number 7 book.
Did he have a number 1, I guess?
Yeah.
I was just guessing. Okay.
People love
Did they relaunch him, or was it a miniseries?
Sure did. Relaunched.
Hey, you got to relaunch that Deadpool because he's
So we're missing 2 more Marvel number 1s?
2 more Marvel number 1s. Both
And
relaunches.
number
Both movie characters.
Okay,
both...
Guardians of the Galaxy number 1.
No, there was not a new Guardians of the Galaxy number 1.
Just keep throwing out names.
Oh, Avengers number 1
No, that was a few months ago.
Immortal Hulk?
I
just said it was number 11, Charlie. God damn it, listen to the man.
Stop playing Puzzle Quest and listen to me.
Exactly.
He's the one from reading a comic.
Is there a Thanos number 1?
No, that's coming up.
Okay.
That's soon.
But I also don't think that would have
one of the Infinity books.
Nope. These are characters that each had 3 different Marvel Cinematic movies based on them. This shouldn't be that difficult, guys. Thor and
Iron Man.
There you go. Thor number 1 at 102,000 copies is the number 8 book of the month. And Tony Stark Iron Man number 1 is the number 3 book of the month at 135,000 copies. That's by Dan Slott, and that also had 28 variant covers.
One for each different mark of armor, which is a fucking awesome idea for variant covers.
I have a whole stack of them over there if you want to buy. I'll give you a good deal on the run.
No, I will not buy any of them.
Nobody bought them.
Including me. Really? You have wow.
I have probably 2 full sets over there. I had 1 pre-order for a full set, and I sold a couple random other ones.
I know it's the reality now, but there is a part of me that is still amazed. If you time traveled back and told anybody 20 years ago that Iron Man would be one of the most popular Marvel characters, no way.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Totally.
Wait for sales for number 2. That's going to be much lower.
I don't even mean just
you said
that.
it yourself. It's because of variants. We acknowledge.
But the comics and the movies, it's amazing. Sure.
But dude, good for Marvel and DC when they do it. You have a clever idea, like a different variant for every mark of armor, and you get into the top 10 of like top sales.
Yeah,
for a book that wouldn't normally be in the top. It's like when Mbappe goes down so easily. It's like, yeah, okay, but he's got to. Take
World
every
Cup still going on.
Take every chance that he's got to get every slight advantage for his team. And spoiler alert for today's game, they won.
Well, there's so many new books coming out, so I'm going to kind of touch on a few of these down the charts. Venom number 1 was like 250,000 copies or something last month. Venom number 2 was 73,000 at number 12. Venom number 3 is 57,000 copies at number 21. Venom number 3 is now like a $30 comic already because it's the first appearance of whatever it is, like the what's his face? I remember what it's
Lord,
called.
the symbiote.
Yeah,
guy.
like the God symbiote thing. So people are going crazy for that Venom number 3. And
Gotta
it's funny
get that Venom number 3.
Sales went down so low. All the Batman Prelude books are on here, all about 50,000 to 60,000 copies, with Harley and Joker being the number 1 at number 19, 60,000 copies. Avengers number 3 down to 59,000. The number 20 book, that's lower than I anticipated by this point. Doctor Strange, Hawkman, both launching with new number 1s, about 40, mid to high 40,000s. Mr. Miracle number 9 still on the chart at number 34, 39,000 copies. That's pretty good. Black Panther number 2, again, 150 maybe for number 1, down to 34,000 for number 2. It's just tough, man. We sold a shitload of Black Panther number 1s, and I barely ordered any number 2s, and I sold out not immediately. So people like those number 1s, but they just don't stick around. Here's a shame. Century number 1, 28,000 copies. That was the number 63 book of the month. I actually really like that new Century with Jeff Lemire. I figured that would have sold much better than that.
That's 68 at 28.
28,000 copies at the number 63 book. So yeah, that's much lower than I would have figured.
Ryan, can I distract you and ask you for a prediction?
Yeah, of course.
Captain America number 1. Where will it be?
I mean, it'll break 100,000 copies because of all the covers.
Top 5?
Top 5. Probably top. Well, what's it competing against?
Batman.
Batman will be number 1.
Catwoman. It's competing against Batman, Catwoman, Superman, Action 1000.
And 1.
And 1, sorry.
Does Batman beat Spidey 1?
And Spider.
Marvel went crazy with Spider-Man number 1.
How many variants did Catwoman have?
I say Batman takes number 1. I say Amazing Spider-Man's number 2. Cap's top 5. I'd say that's pretty likely. Death of Inhumans, I think, is going to be higher than we anticipate. I think that's going to be a top 10. Catwoman will be top 10, definitely. Amazing Action and Superman could be top 10.
We also have
Coming up.
51 too. We also have Batman 51. It's not going to be as high as 50, but
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a top 10. I think that'll get pushed out of the top 10 because of all these other number ones. Oh, it might not.
Wait, are you talking about Catwoman?
Batman.
I
Catwoman
think
number
next
1 will
month.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cap.
Like Catwoman number 1. You think that's gonna top 10?
It was same day tied in with Batman 50. Absolutely. With that
really?
with that Artgerm cover. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be a top 10 book, no question.
Okay, this is a very embarrassingly newbie question. What the fuck is an art germ? What is that?
Artgerm is an artist. He does really cool variant covers. It's all the ones we sold out of. I moved around. Yeah, all the stack of Catwoman.
Okay,
the
so
Supergirl
he had
covers
a,
aren't up there. Yeah.
Okay,
If you go look at Catwoman, it's the cover on the right. He did that one.
got it. And he's legit. Do
Oh,
you like him?
Artgerm it's like Francisco Mattina, Artgerm.
he did that Thor one.
What's his face?
Oh,
while
that
back.
one?
What's his face doing?
I don't know. You buy Marvel books. I'm trying to give you
What's-
something.
Yeah,
to
I've
read.
only bought one Thor book ever.
Steven Sedgwick. All the Steven Sedgwick variant covers are crazy hot right now. What's the other guy that Marvel has? Marvel's got another guy that's
Middleton?
doing a ton of variants.
Whoa!
Oh, all the Joshua Middleton covers are decent.
This is Artgerm?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
Should grab a 49 if we have a 49.
that's like awesome.
So in the top 300, Marvel has 100 comics even. DC has 78. Image has 46. Dark Horse with 14. And down the charts we go.
Whoa, this guy's
In the
awesome.
top 300 comics to comic book stores in
Batman
North America,
48?
Marvel sold 43.99% of the comics. DC with 35.81. Image well over that important 10% margin at 11.53%. Again, Marvel, DC, and Image make up the vast majority of single issue sales. Coffin Comics taking up 0.07% at the bottom of the chart.
Get it, Coffin.
Yeah,
Get it.
Yeah, that Lady Death Comics. Jim is half of that 0.07%. So yeah, if you go top 300 comics and trades, Marvel's at 44.95% for the month. DC's 32.96%. Image is 11.11%. Big month for Marvel and DC. Lots of big stuff.
Are we up or down from last year?
So I believe we are at the part. We are down for the month, but I believe we're like even for the year. Oh wait, hold on. We missed a book. We didn't talk about the number 2 book. Number 3 was Tony Stark. Number 1's the Justice League. I didn't even talk about the number 2 book of the
We
month.
didn't talk
I
about the
completely
number
skipped
1
it.
image book that you said that was on the list.
Yes, it's a number 1 image book released.
Oblivion Song number 1.
No, that
Number
was
2. Number
no,
3.
No,
Oh, you said it was number
Also,
1.
Yes. What image book would be the number 2 book of the month? If you think Image, if you think Sellout, if you think Shenanigans, if you think why the fuck is this book on the list, if you think only way to hit this is to grab some sort of extra deal on the side,
Walking Dead
and-
spinoff number 1.
No, and if you're thinking what would be the creator that would finagle to almost
Mark
make
Miller,
it,
number 1.
almost make his book hit the top of the charts. What is the only creator that image that comes to mind? Mark Miller with Magic Order, number 1, the Netflix book, the quote-unquote giant air quote Netflix comic book is the
What?
number 2 book at 157,000 copies. Now, everyone believes this book did not sell 157,000 copies to comic stores. Most people believe about 100,000 of those are going somewhere outside of comic book stores. But it's on the chart anyway. There's a level of
To a warehouse
returnability.
in Netflix HQ.
There is a level of returnability. I don't know that anyone actually knows where this went. It may be they may show up at Comic-Con. It might be a loot crate. We don't know where these copies went.
I don't know. The loot crate from this month was delayed.
Oh, here we go.
Man, Netflix is throwing money at things, though, so they could have just, to bump up the sales charts.
They're coming out with a Stranger Things comic.
That is awesome. By Image?
This I actually should have just scrolled
I
up.
don't remember.
Comic-Con believes the report that New York Comic-Con purchased a number of copies at 90% off. Correct, meaning half the copies, so about 78,000 copies went to New York Comic-Con as a promotional item. So yeah, this should be it probably would have sat right between Venom number 2 and Immortal Hulk at number 12.
What was number 11?
So number 11 was Immortal Hulk. So Immortal Hulk should be on that top 10
No,
list.
Immortal Hulk.
You were denied.
Oh, another Marvel book in the top 10.
You were denied Al Ewing.
So filled with anger right now.
I'm
you're talking to Al Ewing. Oh, my bad.
We are lucky, though, that Al Ewing will have a book in the top 10 pretty soon, and that is Al Ewing's Legion of Superheroes when he goes over to DC and relaunches that comic in a few months.
You can laugh at my loss, but I like Al Ewing. And by the way, I will buy Al Ewing's Legion of Superheroes. I also like DC. It's just not nearly as good.
Hey, Ryan, if this is not too annoying, just because you misspoke it earlier, I am legitimately curious. The 2010 top-selling comic. I mean, we don't have to run through the whole sales chart. I'm just curious.
2010.
That was 1 year before New 52.
I was going to say, it's very different times. Pre-New 52.
Green Lantern?
If we're looking June 2010.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's pull up Comic-Con's list for June 2010.
Because it's not a Blackest Night title.
Come on, Comic-Con. Load up.
Because Blackest Night was like...
Well, while this is loading, why don't you guys try to think? What do you think the top 10 books of June 2010 would be?
I'm just going to say,
if it's
Walking Dead,
itself,
Batman, Green Lantern.
Well, it's funny because there's actually some number ones and anniversaries on here, so you're not all you're all pretty much on the right path already.
Green Lantern?
Captain America?
No Captain America. There's 2 Marvel number ones in the top 10.
Deadpool.
What's just the number one?
Spider-Man. Captain
Number
America.
1 is New Avengers number 1. This would be the
Oh, God. That's
third.
Oh.
This
Is this the second?
This was the height of you and Brock's complainability, where you're like,
No,
like,
this
Well,
was
this is where everything was all new, all new, all
No, this
different.
is pre. No, this is pre.
No, this is when Wolverine had the
This is-
Sorcerer Supreme medallion thing.
So is this right
is-
after Bendis left
This
the
is
title?
heroic. No, this is still
Yeah.
Bendis. This is all heroic age.
Oh,
the heroic.
So number
I just
one
filed
was-
this shit. Oh,
Number 1 was New Avengers number 1 at 129. Number 2 was Batman number 700 at 104,000 copies. Man, Batman 700. What are you doing, DC? Like
Who was even on Batman at that time?
Morrison.
Oh, yeah, that's
David
R.I.P.
Finch. David Finch did the cover.
Yep.
Oh,
Avengers number 2 was number 3 book. Batman Return to Bruce Wayne number 3 was the number 4 book. Green Lantern, Brightest Day, and Brightest Day is the 5, 6, and 7 titles. Secret Avengers is the number 2 book. That's got to be the Brubaker series, right?
Was that
yeah,
number
that was
one?
great. Secret
That's number
Avengers is
8.
great.
Okay.
Secret Avengers, Brubaker leading into Rick Remender.
Bryce, Uncanny X-Men 525. 525. Remember when Marvel had comics that were numbered to 525?
I miss
Remember
those
when Marvel
days.
had an Uncanny X-Men comic book?
I miss those days. I miss the single tier. I miss those days so bad.
And number 10 is Avengers Prime number 1.
Oh,
Dude, look at these numbers.
God.
Was that with the 3 of them trapped in Asgard?
Yeah, something like it was.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough.
All these numbers in the 600s. Wonder Woman 600's on here. Cap 607. Hulk 610. Detective 866. Yeah, like look at all these high numbers. 2010, man, good days. Good times. Good times.
What
You know what I
volume
mean?
is,
I mean,
what
the
volume
numbers-
is Spider-Man on now?
The numbers are not like drastically different. It's just the top 10 is just such a wild card
Yeah.
of whatever's going on. Where like the 11 down is sort of like that's actual comics. Like that's actually what's going on.
But
These numbers seem pretty even to now.
a lot of this stuff, I'm just going, the numbers would be higher now because variant cover wise,
Yeah,
Batman
yeah,
would
yeah,
have
yeah.
shot up.
Oh,
at
Batman,
least double.
Batman 700. I mean,
Batman
it was
had-
just
had-
Batman
it was-
700.
Yeah.
No, I think they had a couple variants for it, but it was I think it was
They
if you
hadn't
hit a
launched like
certain
the
amount.
store variants at least by
No,
then.
I don't think Batman had any.
No, 700 I think had it if you ordered X amount.
Maybe there was like a 1 in 25
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, but that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It wasn't
no.
anything like there was no open order. It was just one.
No,
Yeah.
no.
I think both companies would have played the numbers
'Cause
a
I know
little bit better now.
Because I know Superman had a couple covers and Wonder Woman had a couple covers. So Wonder Woman 700
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
or was it 600?
Yeah, there wasn't. It wasn't like a crazy amount of stuff.
Well, we can invite all the listeners to take a moment here, think back to where were you June 2010?
Sitting right here, just over that
the
way.
other store.
Yeah, mile that way.
We're not here, which speaks to how times change.
Doing the same garbage, just a mile shifted southwest.
Yeah, but we weren't recording the podcast.
In a much worse store. Well,
Oh yeah, we
what?
won't start until 2011, huh? Yeah. We started
Is
shortly
that
after.
true? I swear you guys have been complaining about Marvel's relaunch.
We started right before
at
New
least
52.
a decade.
Yep.
Like literally,
we started in March of 2011.
I think New 52 being announced was like our 3rd episode or something. Like, yeah, very good timing. Yeah, it was right then because I went to the retailer meeting.
You know how I remember how old we are?
How?
Because my son was born like 2 months
like
after
right
we
there.
started.
if you guys all want to go experience those early episodes of the Comicspiracy podcast with just me and Brock.
Yeah, those are great
And then as time goes on, more people join, thank God. We are in the process, our Libsyn, not the tea company, but Liberated Syndication, our hosting company, is uploading all of our old episodes to YouTube in chronological order. So it's going to take a week.
Tempting.
It's going to take a week or two to do it all. We had sort of started to do them, but there was some screw ups, so they're handling it. So all our episodes are on YouTube. I mean, I know you can just go re-download the old episodes, but people love YouTube and just play shit on YouTube constantly. So if you want to hear our old episodes, they're all going to be on YouTube.
So will there be a visual to look at on YouTube?
No.
I don't mean
just
footage of you, but I mean, will there be like a Comics Conspiracy logo?
It's just the item, the logo for the podcast on there. Yeah.
That's okay. We should start doing reacts videos again.
Oh, Jesus.
Whoa! You see Bryce?
So for those listeners who don't know those old shows, it's you and Brock sitting around. I want to say the length of the episodes was maybe 45 minutes?
45 minutes.
Yeah. Remember when the show was under an hour? Remember when the show was under 2 hours?
Then there was that sweet part where there were random picks.
Yeah, we did those occasionally.
We did,
and then there was
specials, like the Suicide Squad special.
That's in there.
And then there was Hero Clicks talk.
Yeah, those are the dark days.
Those are the glory days.
Yeah, a lot of all those old episodes are they're all going up. So look for those. We have a YouTube page. I can't get my custom URL back until we have 100 subscribers. When I checked this morning, we were at like 98. So
I resubscribed.
Go on the Facebook page and go look.
Bryce, do it right
at
now.
the link and subscribe so I can get to 100 because I want to grab
Kevin,
that custom
do it right
URL.
Wait, what am I subscribing to?
Our YouTube page, and then maybe we'll put some other videos up there too.
You already did it, right, Charlie?
I have to go on YouTube?
Anyway, no, you don't have to do it now. Anyway,
You have to do it again now.
Well, would it help listeners to know how easy it is? Is it easy?
go on YouTube, search. Well, go on our Facebook page, click the link that I put on the Facebook page, and click subscribe. So it's very easy. Smash that like button.
I'll do that later.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to help out your friends at the Comic Conspiracy Podcast.
Yeah, I can almost getting that custom URL.
Does the custom URL does that help us?
It'd be nice if Ryan would link that to my video thing, but
Charlie's
who knows if
flipping
he's going to
through
do
the
that.
Superman number one. I don't want to see it.
We could be like friendly We could be like friendly YouTube channels on there.
No,
Charlie.
I'll flip through the Spider-Man number
Why
one.
don't you put down the Superman number one and open Marvel Puzzle Quest, Charlie?
So before we talk about the two
Charlie,
bigger topics of conversation for this week, I did want to talk about something that really came out of the middle of nowhere. Middle of nowhere? Came out of nowhere.
Left field?
And sure, that too. And
the middle of nowhere.
The middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Uranus?
And so a very special surprise was waiting inside our diamond shipments this week. Nobody knew what this was. Every store that ordered Oblivion Song, the new Robert Kirkman comic, got equivalent copies of a new Robert Kirkman comic, co-written by Scott Gimple, who's one of the guys from Walking Dead. He's one of the producer showrunner guys on Walking Dead. I think he's a new showrunner. Art by Chris Burnham and Nathan Fairbairn. Fairbairn.
Just makes me miss Nathan Fillion.
It's called Die, Die, Die. There are 10 variant covers, of course, with different word balloons on the cover. This is as close as we're going to get to Apple going and the comic and the Apple Watch is on sale now.
And one more thing.
Yeah. This is images. This is comic books. One more thing. This comes out tomorrow. This was never announced. Nobody knew this existed. They gave us free copies based on our Oblivion Song orders for number one. So, Robert Kirkman just upped the game. This is huge.
Well,
this is crazy.
Well, they sent the first trade of Oblivion Song to stores.
Yeah, way in
advance.
Ahead of time. Yeah, to show how far he is on this book already.
So, which basically was great because I got to read it and I got to upsell it to people, and it helped move the book.
Yeah,
you know.
So they're going to be the second issue will be very soon. It's going to have to be on FOC probably, so it may be on FOC this week. It may be out in a month. if you're a subscriber of Comics Conspiracy and you currently subscribe to Oblivion Song, you're getting a free copy of this. Everyone else, we have plenty of copies on the shelf. We have tons of them. There's 10 different covers. So if you're a Hub lover, it'll be on the Hub in the morning.
Hashtag the Hub.
So
Hashtag Batman is California.
Feel free to grab some of these. We've got tons of them. Of course, I can't pull specific covers. There's 10 random covers, so we're going to pull randomly. But feel free to come in and choose your favorites. Yeah, this is incredible. Like, I didn't know what it was. We had this item on our list. We didn't know what nobody knew what it was, and it was like a promotional thing, and that was it. And then we all got free copies of this book. So Robert Kirkman, this is genius. I understand not many people can get away with this. Not many companies can probably pull this off. But the fact that they did it, I like this. This is cool. This is a really neat idea.
Well, this gives you the opportunity to do something because you didn't have to. They forked over the money to cover basically the cost of. They're like, here, take this.
Yeah, right. They did everything. Well, it's not just that. It's I've done this a few times before, where we've given away books just based off the strength of as a promotion, right? The companies don't normally do this type of thing. This is a huge risk for Kirkman, and.
Well, why is it a risk for Kirkman?
Well, because it could totally flop. It could suck, right? I mean, you don't know. He's giving away 100,000 free copies of a comic. It's not free, right? It costs him a lot of money to make these books. That's profit that he's losing. Obviously, I'm sure he doesn't need it, but...
Right, exactly. So it's probably not losing him or Image much money other than profits.
Right.
Well, I mean...
So he's not losing... Wait, how's the phrasing work on that?
The thing for me is the fact that this is still a comic intended for the shops to sell. Ryan's choosing to give it away for free because he got it for free.
To the subscribers.
Yeah,
the
to
rest
the subscribers.
For sale. Yeah,
Which hopefully will translate to higher sales on number 2 than it would be if this was a new number 1. Yeah. Like, if this works, hopefully you'll start seeing more things like this happen down the road.
I mean...
Well,
they could have even made it a 99-cent book. They could have gone crazy and been like, because...
If this was me saying exactly what you're saying, Higgins would be down my throat, and he would be saying, yeah, but there's not many writers that have the star power to carry this, which is true.
Yeah, Kirkman's going to move units either way, but this solves one of the bigger problems that comics has, and movies and video games and everything really, is cool, you've announced this thing. When's it out? How long do we have to wait? A year? 2 years? 6 months even, right?
You know what happens? Confirmed. Kirkman listens to the Comics Conspiracy podcast. He listened to that episode that we did where we talked about how you need to bank a ton of books up ahead of time and then give them away for free or at least sell them early on. I'm telling you, Kirkman. Hi, Jonathan.
Well, Jonathan.
Jonathan?
Also Robert.
Yeah. Sorry.
He took a Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah.
Sorry, that white event guy.
Sorry, not sorry. Oh, you love the white event.
No, I mean, like I said, I don't think anyone but Kirkman could probably pull this off.
I just want Hickman back. Kirkman, Hickman, they're both my man.
And I hope it works. It's I haven't read the book yet. We just got it. We just popped it open. But it looks gory. It looks bloody. It looks fun. So, and I like Chris Burnham a lot. He did.
I'm just.
What he do
I'm
with
still
Morrison?
a little surprised at the price
Morrison,
point.
He did. Was it Batman and?
Yeah, he did the Batman and Robin stuff.
Yeah, and he also did with Morrison Nameless.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised the price point on the book isn't lower.
I mean, that's traditional Image.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're free to us. We can do whatever the hell we want with them, right?
Oh, I know. And
I know people are selling sets on eBay of all 10 covers for big money, right? So
random issues are $5 to $15. Sets of all 10 covers are going for $75.
Yeah,
but are those actually moving?
So I'm not.
Who knows?
Yes, the comic itself is priced at sort of a normal price. And I'm hoping more shops will do what they can to do what's intended, and that's promote the book a little bit more and get it in people's hands, because you're still looking at a impulse buy of $4.99. What is it? $3.99, which is hurting impulse buys on a lot of titles.
Nah, it's the regular price. It's a regular comic price. It's with...
I still think random number ones used to do better because they were comics used to be cheaper.
Yeah. It's true.
I do frustratedly agree with Charlie. It seems to me that if they're going to give away a shit ton of these for free, they must have given away a ton of these books for free.
They gave away
Why not make them more accessible, since they're obviously trying to gateway these mothers?
It's free to the order of Oblivion Song number 1. So retailers that ordered 20 copies get 20. Retailers that ordered 100 get 100. So it's not...
Right. Yeah, maybe you misunderstood me, or maybe you don't care what I have to say. But my point still stands that, yeah, they could have given you these with the cover price of 99 cents, because they're obviously trying to, do something clever with the market.
Yeah. But I mean, one of the problems with promotionally priced comics is very rarely will stores sell enough to make up the difference if they were priced normally.
But these were free. If they had made them 99 cents, you get them for free. You don't give a F. Like, you then put them on your spinner rack or like on your front, whatever.
I mean,
and they're priced at 99 cents, and then they are an impulse buy.
In theory,
you lost anything.
In theory, they could have done something like this on Free Comic Book Day and been like,
Sure.
we'll match however many you ordered of this Free Comic Book Day image with a bonus Free Comic Book Day image.
Speculators alone will cause this book to sell out of every store tomorrow. I'm not worried about this book at all. Again, giving away for free, doing this, and then making it 99 cents on top of that, it's like double promotion. Like, they don't need to do that.
Right, but speculators are going to hurt this getting into the hands of a greater number of people, which is what
more stores should do what I'm doing and give it away to those subscribers that would get the other books. Because, look for me. I can sell these all right now on eBay and make, I don't know, $1,000 or whatever, right? But that does me no good because I wouldn't have copies to give to my customers. So when I have 20 or 30 subscribers that buy this monthly for years, the long-term profit's way better. I understand. The reality of the situation, though, is it doesn't matter how many 10-cent copies of of Project Superpowers we get, or 25-cent copies of Deja Thoris. I am not going to sell any more copies of number 2, 3, and 4 than I would normally.
Books?
This past week, we had a 10-cent copy of Project Superpowers came out. I did not sell out at 10 cents.
Okay.
And I will not sell any copies of number 2 because nobody cares.
Just because I'm not on it. Were those written by popular writers?
Not popular enough. And
do I know their names?
Yeah. For Project Superpowers is Rob Williams, guys doing Suicide Squad. Deja Thoris covers.
Was it Jonathan Kirkman? Just kidding.
Deja Thoris had the
Deja Thor?
Deja Thoris.
Oh,
the
less cool.
Yeah,
John Carter.
Yeah, John Carter, spinoff character. Was that the Campbell cover?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was.
So.
Was it a Campbell cover? Yeah, and it was 25 cents, so it didn't matter. But again, I sold dozens, gave away hundreds at Free Comic Book Day, and I sell like 2 copies. Right?
Okay,
this is not going to move. I'm not. If this was 99 cents, I wouldn't sell any more copies at number 2 than if it was $3.99.
So just from a. Not saying you got enough copies to do this with, but say you did just put a random copy in every subscriber's box. Do you feel you would sell more copies of number 2 rather than just the ones getting Oblivion Song?
Maybe a couple. Not worth the difference because half the customers would. I don't say half. Half of the customers would never buy it under any circumstance. That's just because they're just not the customers that buy this. They're superhero only or. This is not their type of indie book. And of the other half, most of them get Walking Dead and his books anyway. But again, Walking Dead and Oblivion Song versus something like Outcast, who's still by Robert Kirkman. I mean, I saw a fraction of Outcast compared to Walking Dead and some of the other ones. So, I think this is the best possible promotion they could have had. Stores get to make a bunch of money. We get to we get to throw money at number 2s. Speculators will come out of the woodworks. Most places, I assume, won't.
I guess my concern is, as you said, if this was a new Kirkman number 1, chances are most of your Oblivion Song people would have bought it.
Yeah. I mean, we went huge on Oblivion Song, maybe too big.
Yeah. But the the point I'm trying to make, or the point that I'm kind of seeing through this, is I'm not sure this form of marketing is really going to boost the sales of number 2 unless you figure out a way to get it in more people's hands and hopefully get more subscribers than you get currently.
The promotion, the word of mouth around this is the best thing. The quality of the comic is inconsequential. The price point is inconsequential. It's just the way this was done. This will be picked up by customers, and a very small fraction will return for number 2. This is just time and time and time again. This is the way it goes.
But the thing is, as a store, you're not taking the risk.
Right, there's no risk on this for us.
There's no risk
it's
pure
profit.
Because it's pure profit, which means that you can do things like give it to all the Oblivion Song people. Mm-hmm. Or you could have said, hey, all the Oblivion Song people, you can get this, and it's half off. You could have done whatever you wanted with this because they just gave it to you to be able to do this.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other reason to... it's perfect the way it is. I'm just letting people know. I didn't expect to have this long of a conversation about the promotional aspect of it. It's super cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah. You know what's not cool? Death. Death is really... Well, Death is actually fucking awesome. Neil Gaiman's Death of Sandman, she's amazing. The actual shuffling off this mortal coil...
Dark turn.
Yeah. It's not cool. Not cool, man. Way too many people that I know have had death affecting them in various forms over the last, especially this past year. On a personal note, we had the great celebrity purge of 2016.
Oh God!
But now we're in the great personal purge of Ryan Higgins. So I apologize.
Yeah, we all want to hear about it.
That said, we lost another great. Well,
it was an eye roll.
We lost another comic creator. Let me get to this. Big one of the most important comic creators in especially the Silver Age of comics. Steve Ditko, artist, co-creator of Spider-Man, as well as some other characters like The Question, Doctor Strange, of course, Squirrel Girl, Bryce's favorite, Speedball, my favorite. You
know that you and I share the hatred for Squirrel Girl.
I love Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, that makes one of us then.
I'm sure Kevin can he's kind of our old school guy here. Kevin can inform
more educated than you in this capacity.
More about Steve Ditko. Well, I mean, obviously I know about Steve Ditko, obviously. And I would think most people that know Steve Ditko knew about his sort of he died on June 29th, by the way. They didn't make this public for many days after. I believe he was 90 years old. Yep. Born June. Yep. I think it was just 90. Steve Ditko was an interesting person. If you haven't seen, there's a documentary. Let me see if I can find it up here. I'll get the actual name of it.
It's all on YouTube, I think. But it might be in sections on YouTube. I don't know.
It was the entire thing.
Okay.
It was. It's called In Search of Steve Ditko by Jonathan Ross. If you've watched, if you watch BBC stuff, you know who Jonathan Ross is. It was an hour-long documentary where he goes in search of Steve Ditko. This is about 10 years ago. And he has interviews with Mark Miller, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman. And him and Gaiman actually go to New York and try to track him down. So I knew, obviously, the comic end of Steve Ditko I knew about him being a big, reclusive artist and didn't really talk to people. And I knew he was very conservative. And I knew that. Whatever, right? I mean, if you're conservative, that's fine. I didn't realize until I watched this documentary
how conservative?
Not how conservative, because he isn't really. He's like an Ayn Randian. What's the best? There's a objectivist. Thank you. And I actually didn't realize that he was that direction on the political spectrum. It's way different than being conservative. I mean, he had more traditional values, but being an objectivist is real strange stuff. And I guess it kind of makes sense if you see his later characters, and especially The Question, and was it Mr. E, right? Is that his? Or Mr. A, right?
Yeah.
Which, again, I had seen those comics, but I didn't know, the backstory
Well,
behind
that character is just a vehicle for Ditko's political beliefs.
Right, and it makes a lot more sense now, kind of having that backstory of his political beliefs. He's a weird guy. He's a real weird guy. There's very few pictures of him. they played what is known to believe the only audio recording of him. It was from one of those Marvel vinyls they had done. I can't remember what. Oh no, sorry, it was something more recent. No, they were playing something from that, but it was a more recent interview he gave, like in the 90s. It's like the only known audio recording of this guy.
Except for when he went to Starbucks and said, "I'd like a grande cappuccino."
They record him there.
I assume so.
I don't think he ever went to Starbucks. I don't think Ayn Rand's a big Starbucks fan.
Well,
he would just drink straight black coffee.
Yeah,
I'm off the Steve Ditko fan club.
No. He just takes the beans himself, like just straight into his mouth,
Just
like
choose them.
Yeah,
and
just choose
pours
those.
boiling water in.
Yes,
Well,
yes,
he
yeah.
chooses them and uses it to draw, right? He spits out a little and, I needed a little there.
Yeah, it was fascinating to hear them talk about
A latte is a
objectivism.
societal construct,
Yes,
Ryan.
yes.
It has no part in this.
It was fascinating to hear them talk about objectivism and
For those of us that don't know what the fuck this is, we able to do this without getting political?
no, because it's literally all about politics. But
Yeah.
the best way I could describe it is
Well, okay, you know what I mean.
Let Kevin
kind of
describe
a.
let Kevin do it.
It's tough because you're really boiling it down to just a pure generality.
Right.
So you'd have to say it's not quite libertarianism, but
Yeah.
it's more like let your strong horses run free and don't worry about bringing the weak ones along.
Yeah.
Like social Darwinism.
Yeah, I was going to say survival of the fittest.
Okay.
To a degree.
Elysium.
Like
See, you just did it very well without getting political.
Elysium, right? That
Yeah,
Matt,
those with talent and those who are
genetically better,
superior
at,
in whatever, like should be allowed to just excel.
Yeah.
And it is not the government or society's job to hold the hand of the weak. Basic. That is so.
Yeah.
boiled
I mean, there's
down.
there's elements of conservative thought in there, but this takes it to kind of an extreme. And so there
when
was
Atlas shrugged,
he
was getting rid of people.
I mean, yeah, I have no interest or no knowledge of those books or Ayn Rand in general. I mean, I know, again, the general idea of what her philosophy is, but with
Was Ayn Rand in a what is it? Objectivist?
yeah, she's the one that created it. Well, not created, but she's the one that popularized this kind of political leaning and movement.
Interesting.
It's it's very, like Kevin said, the high class, the high society, whatever we care about, we're all good, whatever, and it's just we're forgetting that there's other.
It's not even like a class system.
Yeah.
It's like the Fountainhead is about an architect who's referred to as a great man, and just people get out of his way and let him build his beautiful buildings. These regulations are killing art and holding back talent.
Yeah.
So just, again, let your horses run free.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
about how much money you have. It's about...
So there's
yeah.
there's a reason why he quit Spider-Man after 40 some. Well, what did he do? 42 issues or something like that. 38 issues. I don't remember how many he did. And you could see they talked with John Romita briefly about like how he comes in and immediately, like, if you look at those early issues of Spider-Man, right? I mean, and this is Ditko's art in general. He draws people. Ugly is not quite the word I want to use, but there's a rawness to those characters, especially in those early Spider-Man. I mean, if you look like at his horror books and you look at his other stuff that he was doing at the time, like, it's fucking nightmare fuel. If you look at Spider-Man, that's as clean as he ever gets, right?
Interesting.
It's fascinating, but I have to wonder, and again, they kind of talk about this in the documentary, what the hell was he doing working for Marvel? Like, this seems like such a weird, like, it sounded like he clashed with Stan Lee regularly, and he left the book, and he's hated him ever since. And he's done all these little even like literally to just until he was publishing comics up until May. He had just done a new issue. He had these like super low run small press books that he was working with. I believe it was someone from Fantagraphics. They were publishing these sort of like, Xeroxed off. Like, I mean, it's rough. It's very rough. But these weird Xeroxed off mini comics and small press books that they were doing probably
and he's been doing, hasn't he been doing variants for Marvel off and on?
No. No, he wouldn't. He hasn't worked for Marvel since he left. He wouldn't want to work for. Oh well, no. Actually, let me rephrase that. I take that back. He came back to do Squirrel Girl and Speedball and a few other things much later. But no, all those variants that Marvel runs are just reprinting old artwork.
I think one of the legendary fights that he and Stan had on Spider-Man was about the Green Goblin.
Yeah, about his identity.
Yeah, they had introduced the Goblin, and it was going for a long time. He was just the Green Goblin, and you never knew anything else about him.
Yeah.
And one of their supposed big throwdowns was Stan said it's got to be somebody who we know, so the mystery pays off when you pull the Goblin mask off and you see it's Osborn. It has to pay off. And Ditko's whole thing was, no, it should just be a nobody.
Yeah.
Because that's how the world works.
Yeah.
Like it's not a big conspiracy. It should just be an anonymous character we've never seen.
I don't remember if it's Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman or one of them that are talking about that in that documentary. But their reply is the problem is Ditko was wrong, right? In this case, like the reveal of the Green Goblin is one of the great moments of Spider-Man history when you find out it's Norman Osborn, right? In a story matter, it may be how the world works. Yeah, but that's not how fiction works.
Right, and that's where the friction was with him and Stan.
Yeah. It's
wow. That is awesome.
I'll give this guy again. He believed in his convictions, and he lived in a tiny apartment. And I mean, he had money, I guess. I mean, he must have made some money on Spider-Man. But as far as I know, he refused, I think, royalties for all this stuff. He doesn't want to. He believes he is the creator of Spider-Man. That is sort of one of his big things. Is that Stan Lee? Stan Lee's argument, and again, they talk about this in the documentary, and I've heard this outside of this as well, is he goes, I came up with the name Spider-Man, the character, the concept. I gave it to Ditko to draw and to create it, right? Ditko's argument is Stan Lee said the word Spider-Man. I came up with the look, the appearance. That's the character. I created Spider-Man. All Stan Lee did was come up with the name Spider-Man. That's not the character. And Stan Lee said he would allow him to say co-creator, I agree with Stan Lee 100% on this. They are both co-creators. One does not trump the other.
Did I watch the same documentary and just forget most of it? I thought this was so. I saw something with Stan Lee talking the exact same thing about Jack Kirby.
Well, a lot of the problems with Kirby's estate is they wanted like royalties and they wanted ownership of all this stuff, and Stan Lee's like, he made this for Marvel, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And again, I agree with Stan Lee on that, and Marvel on that, is that they were work for hire stuff. The family should be compensated, absolutely. I mean, Ditko has no family, so this just ends now. But with Jack Kirby, absolutely, his family should get royalties on this stuff, some level of compensation. But the ownership, no, he didn't create them. And it was work for hire.
Right. I'm just wondering if I saw the same thing, because I thought that I saw the same argument.
Stan Lee's used the same argument in all sorts of interviews and stuff over the years.
When you've created like 3,000 characters, you're gonna run into this regularly,
and especially in the birth of Marvel, where it's like a band in a garage jamming, and you don't know. It's hard to differentiate.
Right,
like
totally.
who put this drum bridge in here? Who added this line?
Right.
All of this.
Well, the recent one is the Walking Dead controversy, right? With
the original artist,
the original artist. Who was it? It was,
I forget the guy's name. Yeah.
But because Allred came in,
Allred.
Well, what's his name? Charlie
West?
Adler. Yeah.
Allred, yeah.
I wish I had something to do with that, but no, not at all.
He came in like a handful of issues into the.
Yeah, he came in at the end of the first arc. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he started drawing it. But like, if you look at the credits for the first season of Walking Dead, the original artist isn't in there, but at subsequent ones after, he's on the opening credit.
Well, and it all depends on how. If Robert Kirkman came up with the idea and everything and hired him as the writer, and this was the agreement, then that's the agreement. I mean, again, when the artist comes in and when these things become hugely successful, I think it is fair if the companies kick some money back to these guys. They should renegotiate those contracts at that point. But you're talking the 1960s.
Yeah.
I mean, now I think you have a case. Back then,
But about Ditko, let's be clear. Spider-Man, not just the character of Spider-Man, Doc Ock, the Goblin, the Vulture, Electro, the Sandman, Mary Jane,
the
Gwen Stacy,
Kingpin.
all of Was
Kingpin, I think, was a little...
Was Kingpin Romita?
Don't still got it.
I think
that was
Kingpin was
Romita.
just after. Aunt May.
Okay, and Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
J. Jonah?
Yeah,
Still
Jonah,
got
Baron Mordo, Dormammu,
Yep.
Nightmare,
Yep.
Clea, all of this. Ditko's there for all of these. So if you say there are 4 spaces on the comics Mount Rushmore, and we give one to Kirby,
Art-wise? Or
I
just
think we have
period?
to do art,
Yeah.
because otherwise you just like
You're
if
fucked.
you give one to Kirby. I think you have to make a strong argument that Ditko should get one
Yeah,
of the,
absolutely.
of the other 3.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter
Wait,
what else he
this
did.
is a fun game. Who else gets on there? Jim
Well,
Lee.
I mean, to me, it's
Yeah.
just
No, I think so.
in general, I consider him one of
Kevin
the
just read that
founding
as well.
fathers of like modern superhero comics.
That's what I'm
is
trying
the
to
way-
think of, the founding fathers.
Yeah.
Jim Lee, I think of as too
okay,
new.
okay. So
Hey.
Len Wein.
Wildcats was good, man.
But Len's a writer.
He's a writer. It doesn't
Oh.
matter. It doesn't
Neil
matter.
Adams.
Whoops.
It doesn't matter what else Ditko did. He co-created Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I think Spider-Man is. I mean, one of the top 4 or 5 characters.
If we're just talking about
in all of
comic books, American comic books, and we just sit here without any preparation for this, I go Kirby, Ditko, Adams, Kubert.
Yeah.
And that's without, I'm sure somebody goes, oh, you forgot, and I'll go, oh, of course I forgot blank.
Kane.
Yeah, there's a lot of Infantino, if we're looking at the founding fathers.
Yeah.
See, I want to go.
Wow, that is an awesome
Simon.
Mount
I want to
Rushmore,
go.
Kevin.
I want to go Golden Age.
Simon
That's the
Schuster.
problem.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the birth of the characters as we know them now.
Yeah.
That's why I was going Silver Age. But anyway, Ditko, set aside Ayn Rand, objectivism,
Yeah.
Mr. A,
All that
the
weird stuff.
Fountainhead,
Isolated.
the weirdness.
Yeah.
Without Spider-Man,
This is so awesome.
without
He's a
Spider-Man,
really quiet
I don't.
Alan Moore.
Without Spider-Man, I don't think you get the X-Men. I don't think you get some other characters. I mean, he really was. He is the first solo. I mean, the first real solo kid.
He's the web that connects everything in the
character.
world.
Remember, Ryan, he's also the Blue Beetle, the Charlton Blue Beetle.
Right.
Captain Atom.
Right.
And the Question, which without that, there's no Rorschach.
Right. So that was my next point. Without the Question, there's no Rorschach. There's no Watchmen. That Watchmen still defines comics to this day. Without Speedball, you don't get me. So that would be a great loss.
No, we got Darkhawk's. We have Darkhawk's crotch
you
for
know,
that.
we're not sure about that.
But if anybody, I was just looking at this today before coming in. If anybody wants to see something weird and you think you know Ditko well, here's something to Google. Ditko Man-Bat. Because there was a Man-Bat solo series in the 70s. I want to say it went 4 issues,
Yeah,
maybe.
they were-
Ditko drew it.
Did you really?
Yes, and you can see Ditko's version of Batman in the first issue of this comic. It is...
Oh, I forgot about Creeper and Hawk and Dove, too.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
the big ones, yeah.
On the
Yeah.
DC side.
On the DC side, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Google Ditko Man-Bat, and you can. Most of the issue is posted online. You can see Ditko's version of a Batman story, and it is bizarre.
You know what? And just, not to dwell on his politics too much, but it's just interesting to think about the reality of his politics his politics versus the reality of
What he
a
created.
job, working, money, being able to survive and live on your own, right? So,
Well, he would argue that he's a great artist, and the rewards came to him
Stan
for his
just
talents.
got-
yeah,
my way.
yeah. But, he didn't stay with any... I mean, Spider-Man must be among his longest runs on any books. He definitely didn't stay on stuff. So, it seems a little hypocritical, but, I mean, whatever. All that stuff aside...
Well, when did he get into? Was he
Always.
into this?
Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle was into Ayn Rand.
Right on.
So, I mean, it's that time
is
period,
something.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the time period. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was something that I didn't know about him until after he died, and I was like, oh, shit. Completely changed your viewpoint of the person.
Yeah, well, anybody can track down Mr. A,
Yeah.
and you will
Weird
see
stuff.
it's like the Question, sort of, in that it's a hero with a fedora and a tie.
Yeah.
But it's a vessel for Ditko's political rants told via comics. And this is when his art was still really crisp.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
the later...
It's like Dave Sim and Cerebus, like kind of
Yeah.
like the later years of that,
Yeah.
where it's like,
Wait,
this is
so-
just Dave Sim.
And who was this with? It wasn't with Marvel or DC.
No,
it was just, I don't remember the company.
I don't know if it was Charlton or...
I don't think it was, no, I think it was post Charlton.
Okay. Oh yeah, I know it was post Charlton. I did.
I don't know who
trivia
published it.
question.
Yeah, I don't know who published
Mr.
it.
A is the character's
We all
name.
have phones. Look it up.
But
he
he's
has a laptop.
But
Well, Charlie's the only one using his phone, and it's to play Marvel Puzzle Quest.
Yes, this time I am
Hashtag
playing Puzzle Quest.
Number 2 cable fan.
I will get the answer. Keep vamping.
it can be difficult to, and especially these days, to separate, creators and their politics and their social beliefs. And I'm sure if he was younger today doing a hot comic and he was on Twitter, we'd all hate his guts, right?
you would have unfollowed him.
Oh yeah, I would have.
Oh, my
blocked him on
God,
Twitter
so long
time
ago.
Muted. Muting's the cool way to do it. They don't know they're blocked.
Is it? I'm
Yeah.
not sure that I
It's-
ever want to
it's-
take cool advice from you, Higgins.
With that hair?
Muting is the way you.
His or mine?
His. Not yours.
The character first appeared in Wallace Wood's Wits End in 1967.
Wow.
Whoa!
So this is after he left Marvel. Basically gave 2 middle fingers to Stan.
Yeah.
And walked away from
That
Marvel.
is the 67's before the question.
Okay,
though, I
here.
think.
Ditko has been quoted as saying that this is fascinating podcasting. I'm reading straight off the Wikipedia page. Ditko has been quoted as saying that his creation, The Question, is a Comics Code acceptable version of Mr. A.
Oh, okay.
Mr. A was inspired by the belief system and moral absolutism of the philosopher novelist Ayn Rand, and it goes on from there.
Okay. So I thought it was after. That's weird.
So what company?
Well,
Let's say.
Wits End was a Wally Wood indie magazine.
Yeah.
It was like a black and white magazine.
Okay.
Look at Kevin dropping the knowledge.
He does.
Charlie's here for Marvel Puzzle
Thank God for
Quest.
Wikipedia.
I'm here for handsomeness. You're here for sales charts. Brock's here for
Bad jokes.
hilarity. Yeah, well, all right.
But
Kevin's here for actual intellectualism.
The
That's a word, right?
Throw away the
It is a
politics
word.
stuff.
I'm sure someone will correct my boiling down of objectivism in the comments to this episode. but
Well,
I did my best.
I think that, as Ayn Rand would say, they can go fuck themselves.
Ditko is, if
actually,
nothing
that's-
else, Ditko is, if nothing else, fascinating artist and a bizarre life outside kind
Did
of
he
the
ever marry?
knowledge of no, nothing.
Now, Ryan, do you like his art? I know there are different periods, but I'm just speaking in general.
What are you even drawing a breath? Yeah, he had great art. What?
Some. So,
Even I know his art, and I don't know a lot about this guy, apparently.
honestly, and this is not a joke. When I think of Steve Ditko, the first thing I think of is the Speedball miniseries he did right after the characters created, because
well, you asked the wrong person.
the art in that is terrifying. Right?
How do you like this character?
He has a very weird way of drawing.
I would call the adjective I think of for Ditko's action, especially, is gangly.
Yeah. He has
And
lots
it's
of
great
very
for Spider-Man.
No, it works for
odd-
Creeper.
Well,
Yeah,
like
Creeper.
Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, they do the weird things with their fingers, right? Like those covers, some of those early Spider-Man covers. Like, look at his body; he's all broken,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the way he draws
Today,
him,
the
it's
internet
so
would be
weird.
aflame if that butt looked weird.
He's so weird looking. And that Speedball stuff is terrifying. That's all I can say. So early on, I was like, I hate this guy, but I love this character.
And then they put Bagley on it, and you're like, yeah, boy,
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, it's like the Drake meme. Bagley? Yeah, there we go.
Did you just pull a Drake meme?
Did
I
you
did.
just pull
I
a
did.
Drake meme?
I did. Yeah.
I just had to make sure that we,
I'll tweet it later tonight. So
had
don't worry.
confirmation after the broadcast.
Yeah.
We needed to
You
make
know-
sure
you know
that
the Drake meme,
answered
right?
properly.
Yeah?
No, I do
No?
not know the Drake meme.
Yeah, there you go. Look at
Oh, I do know that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I just didn't recognize it from the
coming out of my
anti-Drake.
mouth. Oh yeah, love the Drake. But his Spider-Man art is fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know that I prefer it or like it. It's very interesting.
Well, Romita's is very much cleaner and more classical.
yeah,
Sure.
Senior.
Yeah.
Yep.
Senior.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Ditko's Doctor Strange is...
Okay, Doctor Strange is the Ditko I like
Yeah.
because that shit is. I mean,
It's supposed to be batshit insane.
yes, and it works perfectly.
Totally.
The characters he drew in Spider-Man, they're all like that first cover with the Green Goblin. It almost looks like a horror comic, right? Because if you see Ditko's horror art, that shit's scary, like legitimately creepy as hell. And the Spider-Man stuff has that same feeling. It's just not supposed to be scary.
This is colorful.
But that was issue number 4, right, of Spider-Man First Green Goblin. he's like in a cave, and all these guys have captured him. And Green Goblin's like huge on the panel or on the cover. Like it's a weird looking. It's a weird looking comic.
You could just compare Amazing Fantasy 15 with a Kirby Spider-Man. and you can see how different it looks.
Yeah. And I think if you go back to those horror comics at that time, all the EC books, that was sort of, I don't want to say the style, but there was some weird art back then. That was very.
Was that that was the late 50s?
EC? Through the 50s, yeah.
And Ditko was doing Amazing Fantasy pre-Spider-Man.
But that was at the height of the McCarthyism, right? The witch hunt stuff.
That was the Frederick Wortham
the
Comics Code.
The comics
shut it all down. So, like, if you go back to Golden Age art, there's this very naive nature to a lot of that art. It's very poor, right? But it's very foundational. And what we know of it, Ditko was like this weird, and a lot of that stuff in the 50s, too, was in this weird middle ground where I think Kirby was sort of ahead of its time. I think Fantastic Four looked different, right? But Kirby's horror stuff kind of looks like that, too, his monster stuff. It's strange. And we haven't, like you said, with Ramita, that suddenly becomes much cleaner. And at that era, DC is still a little bit behind, but Marvel really swings, no pun intended, talking about Spider-Man, in that direction. But you still have really uncomfortable art in that day, and I think a lot of it must have been inspired by what they were doing with the horror comics, what they were doing with the crime comics. They were all supposed to feel uncomfortable. So, long way to say I think his art is interesting. I would not say I like it, but I respect it. I respect him. He's a fascinating artist. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah,
but I would agree he's incredibly important. But he's not my go-to Silver Age artist. I think that's the long and short.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think there's guys out there that do it. I don't know if better is the right word, but more my style.
Well, I would say, just on the Marvel sense, Kirby is a more pleasing art to my taste to look at.
Right. And I'm not even the biggest Kirby fan. I've talked about this. I like Kirby. I respect Kirby, but there's other people I like better. So I actually think some of the DC art of the time I prefer in some situations.
Oh, no argument.
And I like Ramita. Yeah. Bryce took a step out on the back.
R.I.P. Steve Ditko. Yeah, we got too deep in the history.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about.
But now we can talk about Ant-Man and Wasp.
There's no transition or segue from Ditko to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has anything else to say,
wait, there is. Those microverse scenes in Ant-Man and the Wasp were very Ditko-esque.
They were.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I actually didn't mean to go quite as off the rails as we did there with Steve Ditko as maybe anticipated. But I was good. Interesting conversation. Hopefully you guys it made sense. Hopefully you're not totally wrong about everything we said. But Bryce, we are going to talk about Ant-Man and Wasp if you want to peace out for a little bit. I mean, our normal movie episodes have become whole episodes, but I don't know that
No, it's become like multiple episodes.
I don't know that we're doing. I don't think this requires a whole episode. So we're gonna talk until we're done talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Well, are we gonna do more stuff after? Should I?
We'll do questions.
Okay, then I'm gonna put Kevin in charge of texting me to come back inside.
Yeah. You will. Whenever
Are you going outside or in the back?
I'm going to go outside and I'm going to eat this delicious Chipotle and I'm going to drink a beer and then I'll come in.
All right.
I'll be coming in hot.
Behind my store. Okay.
You what?
Try not to piss behind my store. Okay.
I haven't done that all day, Higgins.
I will send you the all clear.
I think he preemptively went to the bathroom.
So Ant-Man and Wasp.
I knew you were going to get right to it. I thought we had half an hour more of Ditko. By the way, this is his final note of Ditko. As somebody that...
you didn't say your piece. Do you like him?
I just wanted to very quickly, in Bryce terms, say that...
Why do you sit down instead?
I knew of Ditko and knew a lot of his art, had no idea of the personality behind him. Obviously, he hasn't done stuff in a long time, so it was very interesting to learn about all these sort of subtleties and nuances of... the man behind the mask, pun intended. That was cool, and rest in peace and all that.
All right,
Lane's here.
Lane is here. Maybe Lane will take your spot. So Ant-Man and Wasp. Mm-hmm. What are we? 19 movies in now to the MCU? Is that right? 20? Is this 19 or 20?
Right.
God, it's a lot of movies. Now, I don't know about the rest of you where Ant-Man is on your list. It's pretty high on my list.
Ant-Man's pretty high on my list.
The original is one of my rarefied air up there in the A- category, so pretty high. Very, very big surprise. I was not anticipating to like Ant-Man, the first one, as much as I did. So I had a lot of hope going into Ant-Man and Wasp. The rest of you, where does Ant-Man stand on your list?
I liked it. It's definitely not in sort of the top for me, but
Yeah.
I like the first Ant-Man. Yeah.
I'm with Charlie on this, mid-tier.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's more on the top for me. I think because it was one of the first movies that really hit the kind of that good combination of comedy and action and superhero, and just it had all of those elements really, really well done.
Well, in losing Edgar Wright
Baskin-Robbins
as the writer and director, I think there was a lot of fear that it was going to be maybe not up to par. But I thought it turned out great. So I actually went, Ant-Man and Wasp is kind of a smaller movie as far as the MCU goes, especially coming after Avengers Infinity War. There was so much to hype for Avengers that I think I think Ant-Man got a little, I want to say, lost. I didn't see anywhere near as much push, and I don't know how you're ever going to have.
Not just Avengers. If you kind of look at the summer as sort of Disney,
yeah,
they've kind of had back-to-back-to-back things to push.
It's been nonstop. With Incredibles just having just a ridiculous weekend, right? A couple weeks ago, and now Ant-Man and Wasp.
Wait, was Black Panther was this year, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that happened 2 years ago.
It's crazy. It's crazy, huh? So we have Ant-Man and Wasp. I wonder what's opening weekend for the first one. I'll have to go check. So I think there's a lot of. I don't think anyone expected Ant-Man and Wasp to do like Avengers numbers or anything crazy like that, obviously. But I like these quote-unquote smaller movies. I like these little things. They're just fun adventures. And Ant-Man and Wasp totally fits that. So if you watched Avengers Infinity War, you saw that he was gone, that he was under house arrest post Civil War. And so this picks up days prior to him being released. And of course,
having been on probation for
2 years. Yeah. So wacky hijinks ensue that cause him to have to try to be Ant-Man, but still report back and still be, on this house arrest, and how can he get around? So that's sort of a big chunk of the movie. But the major push of the movie is to actually save Wasp, Janet Van Pym, or Janet Van Dyne. Sorry, Janet. I guess, or not Pym. I guess she wouldn't be Pym. Just Janet Van Dyne. The original Wasp, the founding Avenger Wasp, the real Wasp, the actual Wasp character. Because Hope, Evangeline Lilly, is her daughter.
And the Wasp that they're referring to in the Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, because she gets the costume at the very end of the first Ant-Man movie. I like this movie hell of a lot. Maybe not quite as much as the first. Maybe like a half grade down or something. But I really liked it. It was really funny. I think what did I tweet? I said I think it's a B+ for a movie, but it gets an A+ for all the Morrissey references. That's how I grade these things. Since Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I love little universes.
My go-to on that is Inner Space.
Yeah,
I love
sure.
Inner Space.
Sure. I love that big to small. The car chase scene in this movie in San Francisco, the whole fight in the kitchen. I love those scenes. Those are so good.
Just him going to the elementary school.
Oh yeah,
that was hilarious.
The whole him getting being a little kid was a little goofy. That was maybe a little too goofy. I like it when he gets really small and then when he gets huge. I love Giant Man. I love Ant-Man, Giant Man. Oh, that's the best part of Civil War. Not even a question when he turns into Giant Man. That's the best scene.
I slept for 3 days.
So the fact that they kind of have a new take on that in this movie was so good. I think Michael Pena, his friend Lewis. In the movie, stole the show as always. Again, lots of Morrissey references in that scene, so high praise for me. Really funny stuff. And I really did not look into this movie at all. I didn't know who was in it. I didn't know who characters were going to be, and I kind of tried to keep. I didn't want to pay attention to it. I knew Michelle Pfeiffer was in it. I knew she was Wasp. I had no idea that Lawrence Fishburne was Bill Foster, was Goliath. I had no clue he was in this movie. So that was a pretty cool surprise. Even though he's like a main character in the movie.
Also known to comics fans as Black Goliath.
Black Goliath, yes.
From that period of Marvel.
Yes. More commonly Goliath.
Yes.
And, there was a little bit of mention in the trailers of Ghost, who's I would say classic, who's an Iron Man villain, but has been kind of reimagined for this movie. In the Iron Man comics, he steals tech and
industrial
espionage.
Yeah, this is obviously a very different take on that character. But she was cool. The effects of her I thought were super neat, where she was sort of bouncing back and forth between different. As she walks, kind of like she kind of floats around a little bit as these sort of like weird mirror, kind of ghostly images around her.
Well, I think they've talked about it. She's going in and out of alternate realities.
Yeah,
and that's what she's doing. So you're seeing her moving. It appears that like she's moving through things because she's actually no longer in this reality. She's in a different reality.
Well,
she's constantly being stitched back together,
being torn between realities.
Yeah, so she's able to just walk through stuff and phase through stuff like you guys. Again, I thought the effects on her were super cool.
Well, the way they established her backstory, they did a good job, and I mean, I liked her as a kind of villain in this because it was, it wasn't a villain that's, it's the bad guy in the movie. There was a legit reason for what she was doing.
Yeah, the only real bad guy in the movie is I remember what the character's name was.
It's the arms dealer guy.
Yeah, but even that, he's almost not even...
So, that's my one complaint about this movie. I kind of felt like the first scene with the arms dealer kind of worked for me.
Yeah.
But then it just kind of felt like almost a game of hot potatoes. Like they just kept... Now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do this, and now we're going to go...
What?
I kind of felt... I felt like at some point you just had too many moving pieces for me. Yeah, like I would rather it just be the FBI chasing him or just be him chasing him. But you had like the Ghost and the arms dealers and the FBI and anybody else they wanted to throw in there at the time.
They're all chasing different things, right? I mean, and
yes, but effectively they're all playing hot potato with trying to get the same thing.
Yeah.
And the actual potato is the lab.
Yeah. I don't know. Something about that I really liked. Again, I thought it was clever. It was fun.
Thing is, I didn't mind it because it didn't make it boring where it's like, oh, Ghost is going after it again. And I liked how they utilized it where, the arms dealer guy is interrogating Lewis with the truth serum.
The truth serum,
and the funny. Ghost just shows up
and
saying,
just takes it.
And like, where is he? And it's like, it's that inner, that it's connected and it makes it, I understand where you're coming from, Charlie.
So my issue with that kind of gets into the whole, they establish he's taking a step back because he has an in with the FBI who can get the lab for him and all that. And then he keeps butting back in. Like they went out of their way to kind of be like, okay, this is how we can keep this group after him. But this group is still going to go after him. And
I think it's because his target changed. Right, because his
target was always the lab.
No, his target became Ghost at one point because he wanted.
No.
He was curious about her tech.
No, he was never after Ghost.
Yeah, she was after the lab the whole time.
Yeah, she was after the lab, but I think
arms dealer was after.
Wanted to get her tech.
No, he was just after the lab too, because in his mind, the lab must have had all this tech that he could sell to all these other people for a lot of money.
Yeah, and the FBI was just after Scott. So
Scott/Hank.
Oh, but yeah. All three of them. Yeah.
Because most of the time the FBI seemed to think Scott wasn't there.
Right.
Until they'd bust into his house and be like, oh, I guess he's...
Yeah, that... I'm going to make two critiques. One of them, you can point the finger at the filmmakers, and one you can't. So going off Charlie's, I'm not sure that I was really into this movie for about the first half hour. I thought it was really fresh and fun, and then it just seemed to hit the same story beats over and over again. I did appreciate a smaller scale threat than a world-ending. Like Spider-Man Homecoming would be another example of this kind of movie. But, I'm not sure we needed 2 sequences of the FBI racing to Scott's apartment and the suspenseful music playing and him getting there a few seconds before and acting like he'd been there all along and then going, oh, I guess you were here all along.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we needed that twice, and that kind of stands in for some of my problems with the movie overall. But the other thing, and this is not the fault of the filmmakers, after the centerpiece exciting sequence of Deadpool 2 was that insane parachute / car chase, truck chase through the city.
Yeah.
For the centerpiece action of this to be a car chase through a city, I'm not saying this one wasn't good. I'm saying coming second, it felt a little more less fresh. Even with the size changing, I was just kind of like, wow, I feel like I just sat through a comic book movie with a big car chase, and it's because I did.
I didn't even consider that. I mean, they're so different.
They are, yeah. They are different.
I mean, every comic, in superhero movies with car chases, it's Winter Soldier and then kind of everything else. The Winter Soldier scene with Nick Fury is my favorite. That's my favorite scene in that movie. That scene's incredible. Like, again, the size changing is what made that scene for me. Just like in Deadpool, the comedy and the him fighting Cable, and that's sort of what, especially
and
Domino, made that scene for that. I think they just came at it from very different directions. I love what she do? Like, doesn't Wasp kick him out of the car, and then Ghost phases in the car and kicks her around. She flies out. So it's they just, like you said, like the hot potato. They keep switching spots and switching places. Just very clever. It's very fast. How quick these things change positions, and I
think that's
really
why with some of that stuff, it felt like you could take one of the groups out of there, and I think I would have enjoyed it more.
Well, there is a plot thread that we don't know, and the arms dealer, they don't follow up on his story. He's being employed by someone, but we don't know who, and we don't know how this is going to affect. If this is an Ant-Man thing, or if this is an Avengers thing, or a Captain Marvel thing, we don't know where this is going. So,
and that's assuming that it's not just going to be some mysterious buyer, and there's more to it.
I don't think that would just be some random. They wouldn't just, especially in these type of movies, they're not just going to leave that open and be like, "Oh, who knows? Maybe we'll fill."
I'm not convinced they're not just going to leave it open. I agree with you. Most of the time, there's threads and stuff they could kind of pick up, but I think right now with all the focus on Infinity War and coming out of Infinity War, I don't think they're going to be super concerned with picking up the thread from this one in.
Well, I think if they do a third one, I think you have to get away from trying to steal Hank Pym's tech. Because that's kind of, there's a plot of the first movie, there's a plot of this movie. It would be weird if they go back to that same well in the third movie if they continue this plot of this dealer, this arms dealer, and his whole secret buyer and everything. Maybe.
And that's what I'm saying. I think they're just going to drop that thread. I think he's now captured by the FBI, having confessed everything. So
it's possible.
Yeah.
I will say though that the mid-credit sequence was.
I didn't see that coming, but it's still brutal.
I didn't see it coming.
Oh, okay.
No kidding.
Okay.
I did not see it coming at all. I figured anytime in a movie like this you're doing a character counting down, odds are that they're not going to reach the end of that countdown smoothly.
Yeah.
But I did not actually see that coming.
Oh.
And I really appreciated that scene.
Yeah.
So, wow, this is the fun of me having issues with certain. So I like
You don't like this movie, Charlie?
I like.
You don't like something?
I like the transition in general with the sort of that stuff, but I also kind of looked at that as I'm really not sure they would be going to Scott specifically to retrieve those particles. Like that part of it seemed a little.
Well, I have a question, and especially when Kevin comes back here.
Came back to normal size.
Is being in the almost called the negative zone, the quantum realm, is that outside the ability of Thanos?
Yes.
Of Thanos' snap? Is that outside of reality?
Yes.
Is he just the lucky 50%?
I think this is a lucky 50% considering we saw 3 other characters go poof.
Yeah.
I would go outside of the ability, but I mean, this is
That's
just
my
this is
thing.
like a.
Well, the thing is,
This is like sitting around with guys on the playground arguing about something in a comic. I don't know.
That's the
just
thing
my
is,
guess.
the movie sets up the alternate reality stuff because of ghosts. Ghosts, affliction.
Yeah, her phasing.
Right, her phasing. It sets up like Janet comes back and says, "I've been changed."
Yeah.
Right, because she's been in the quantum realm, and the thing is that's a realm that that is so. It's not necessarily that it's chaotic. It's that it's kind of like it's the foundations. It's what everything boils down to. So there's no changing that.
Well, it feels like they're going for something like the negative zone, or like not just he's small. I mean, they're really There's civilization, there's life, there's something there. It's beyond just our reality at that point. So I'm curious if they're going to do something with that. If he's there safe and he's able to come out, does this play into Infinity War? Is this a connection to the Soul Stone? I mean, are they going to go?
He's found and rescued by the Fantastic Four, who've been exploring those realms.
That's very possible, right?
That's my full dream.
They actually have set photos, and they think that for the next Infinity one, and it appears that it's somewhat in the future.
Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and they've also cast an older version of his daughter.
There's no movies planned for release immediately following Infinity War. I don't. What?
Spider-Man?
When?
It's after.
When?
Well, but he's saying immediately. He's saying like
there's nothing that in the rest of that year. I don't even know that there's anything 20. Is there even any do they even have dates for anything official early 2020?
Guardians 3?
I mean,
we'd have to look up the dates because
nothing
I mean
has been announced.
Well,
is what I'm saying.
They've secured X amount of dates with untitled movies.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know what those dates are.
They just moved a movie from July to February of 2021, so clearly that's the date for Black Panther 2. But again, we do not have official dates for any movie past Infinity War. Period.
Hell, we don't even still have a official title for Avengers 4.
Yeah. I don't even think we have an official date for Avengers 4 yet, because I wonder if they're going to move that up. I mean, I know it's supposed to be the first weekend in May, but they did it with 3. I don't know why they wouldn't do it for 4.
I will say I loved Ant-Man / Giant Man in Civil War.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I like just in comics or movies that character better as part of a team than a solo. And I'm trying to think of an Ant-Man 3, which clearly there will be at some point.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, what? That is what would you do? They've just about done every shrinking, growing joke so far. I'm trying to think of where could you even go with these characters.
You could have a whole movie in the quantum realm, right?
Yeah, I'm saying that's...
Yeah.
And I don't know how interesting that is.
It will be very interesting if it ends with the Fantastic Four.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's if the merger doesn't go through, which I mean they're voting on it or something soon. Yeah. I could completely see them trying to turn this into sort of a more Fantastic Four type franchise, but at the same time, if that goes through, I don't think they're going to want to be like, okay, we're going to explore this realm here and this realm. Like, I think there's certain elements of what they've done in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that feel like they did it because they didn't have the rights to Fantastic Four and X-Men and that kind of stuff. I kind of feel like once those are kind of back, they can reevaluate some of those.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, here's my dream. Toby, we talked about this on your episode.
My episode?
Yep, we talked about this. Fantastic Four launches in the 1960s as part of the space race, taking up their own rocket to beat the Russians.
Exactly.
In space, when they get hit by the cosmic rays, they are also put into some kind of a warp / wormhole / something. So they arrive coming via that quantum realm to now, not only out of time, like because they come from 1960, but also with new powers. There's your movie. These 4 people coming through in a new time period and with brand new powers and having to deal with both.
With flashbacks.
Yeah.
Because then you no need to do it.
No.
Toby, microphones are over there.
Where?
Take a seat.
Toby's shouting from the counter.
Yes.
And you can have him pick up Scott Lang on the way in if you want.
You know who needs to follow him through the zone?
Doom?
Annihilus.
Oh. Yeah.
There's your movie, right? Ant-Man versus Annihilus as he comes in, as he's trying to come through into the well, again, if they're not going to use a negative zone, a negative zone equivalent here, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think it's best to consolidate everything down, right? If you're gonna deal with something, don't create a negative zone. Just make it like it's the quantum realm, right? It's part of what the quantum realm is. Because the thing is also, I mean, Janet warns Scott to be careful of those time quake wormhole things.
yeah.
Right. So I think that's his out. That's how he gets out.
I'm assuming he comes out in Avengers. I mean, I don't expect he'll be in there in Ant-Man 3.
Not to mention he's come out of there before. Now, mind you, he had to have the right
Gear and
stuff to
everything.
do
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but
So
he already shows a precedent for
I will
being
still
able to
be
get out.
shocked if in the second of Infinity War there is not a scene in the second movie, a key moment where it depends on Hawkeye making a shot
Oh, yeah.
with or without Ant-Man riding that arrow.
Oh, 100% he'll no. There's no they left him out of Infinity War just so they could be like the key part of I'm telling you, man, they're just going to do we talked about this. It's going to be Thanos has a shield around him. They're just going to rip off Morrison from Justice League. He's got the shield around him. They're going to be like, he's like, you can't get through here. And he's like, bitch, I can see you like you get through. Hawkeye shoots Ant-Man with him. He shrinks down right through the force shield. Boom, into Darkseid's brain. Into Thanos' brain. Zaps him. Game, set, and match. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you.
Well,
Morrison predicted it.
Mark the date that this prediction was made.
So Ant-Man #1 made $57 million this opening weekend for $180 domestic total. $180 million. That's like throw it in the trash. That's nothing. $519 worldwide on a $130 million production budget. So Ant-Man weekend 1 did almost $76 million in the U.S. And it did 85.4 and so 168 already. So
what do you expect for the first Marvel movie after Infinity War? It had to get a nice bump.
Well, I think at this point every Marvel movie is just making money just hand over fucking fist. So, clearly we're a far cry from Avengers and from the cultural phenomenon that was Black Panther. But I think this is, that's a 50% boost from their previous movie. A lot of big movies out right now. Good, a lot of competition. Opening weekend strong. For a cheaper, smaller movie. I mean, again, I like these. I want more of these. I would love a few more.
I'm trying to think what comes out over the next couple of weeks or whatever.
I mean, I think we're at the end of it. Yeah. I mean, we had Jurassic Park, we had Incredibles, we had this.
So it should have some good legs for a while.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, the thing was we were all like, well, what do you do after, Infinity War? And the thing is I thought Ant-Man and Wasp was a nice kind of palate cleanser of a movie.
And I expect Captain Marvel will be similar. It won't be... I don't think it's going to be like super dramatic or super depressing or anything. I think it's going to be a pretty hopeful movie with obviously probably some pretty strong,
Well, I mean, it's already they've already confirmed the fact that it's in the past. They've already confirmed various characters have a larger role in it.
Skrulls, man, that throws me off. That's the most baffling element of Captain Marvel to me. And then the fact that I didn't hear about this for such a long time, or I did and assumed it was fake, the fact that the Skrulls are the villains in the Captain Marvel movie is
that...
Yeah.
I didn't hear this.
That's
Well,
official.
it's supposed to be the Kree-Skrull War.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Wait, they're doing the Kree-Skrull War without the Avengers in it.
Yeah.
As far as I understand it, yes. In the past.
In the 90s.
Maybe it's going to be Alpha
Captain
Flight.
Marvel is the Avengers.
The rockin' 90s.
Okay, I'm just meaning so you're hinging
that's
it.
why he has that page
without
that intergalactic pager.
but without the Avengers in it, you're hinging the story on a battle between two alien races that the audience doesn't know or care about.
Yeah.
That's an interesting choice.
We know about the Kree from at least Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They've been in a lot.
But I mean, for those who haven't watched Agents of
Well, yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
No, Guardians.
True. Yeah. They had a good role in Guardians, too.
I texted Bryce the all clear.
Yeah, I think we're good. Any final thoughts? I mean, again...
Go see Ant-Man and Wasp.
I really enjoyed it. Really funny.
It's a fun summer confection.
Yeah.
When did you get here?
I mean, Ant-Man and Wasp isn't as good as Justice League or anything like that, but but I did enjoy it.
I would still say, to me, and you all guys all might disagree with this, Spider-Man: Homecoming is a more successful execution of this kind of movie for me.
So, Spider-Man: Homecoming is one grade above it. Is the movie directly above this on my list?
Yeah, I'd agree.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Real strong.
I'd agree with that in general. I mean, as I said, the stuff I had issue with in this movie didn't have that issue in Homecoming at all.
I just like Paul Rudd.
Do you like how I didn't spoil anything for you, Bryce?
That's the only reason why I still like you, Charlie. The only reason, you dirty bastard. No, I do appreciate it. And by the way, can I just say that I intentionally avoid all trailers to avoid all spoilers, and then Marvel Puzzle Quest goes and tells me who the villain of the movie is. I had no idea who the villain of the movie was until Marvel
Ant-Man?
Puzzle... What?
Ant-Man? Ant-Man and Wasp?
Yeah.
Who just said the villain was?
Isn't the villain
just added-
Ghost?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Or maybe the antagonist?
I mean,
I don't know. I haven't seen any
Antagonist
trailers
is the better
or the
word.
movie.
Antagonist is the better word, yeah.
Don't worry, they haven't really spoiled anything for you.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Charlie.
Other than the
It's
fact
only
that
time
Ghost
you'll
is
get to
in
say
it.
that tonight. Well, I didn't know that. And so Marvel Puzzle Quest can go fuck itself. By the way, let me relog back into Marvel Puzzle Quest where I was interrupted by Kevin's text saying that I should come back.
So sorry to interrupt your game.
Question.
Appreciated.
So RJ
Except
on Twitter,
all
I mean, this is about Ant-Man, but not spoiler stuff. He says, and you guys follow On Cinema at the cinema. I don't know what this is.
Nope.
Toby?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. He says, there's a running joke between Ant-Man and 1 and 2 that only makes sense after watching On Cinema. It's the best joke in the sequel. I have no idea. Someone send me...
Okay, look.
Someone let me know what the joke is, because I don't know.
Very frequently, the quote-unquote best joke of
The best joke is the
something
Morrissey
subsequent-
joke. Like, not even a question. Like, that's the best joke in the movie. Like, absolutely. It's
My grandma loved Morrissey.
yeah, it's so good.
And the scary thing is that nowadays, when I hear that Morrissey joke, or when I hear a reference to Morrissey, I literally think of Ryan Higgins.
Multiple people messaged me after they saw the movie, and they're like, "Oh, there's a scene you're really gonna like at this
But I
movie."
mean, that's the first thing I think of now. Not the Smiths, not Meet His Murderer, Ryan Higgins.
So yeah,
I can actually happily say, for the first time in a while, I did not think of Ryan Higgins during the movie.
Oh,
at
he's
all.
gonna hate this scene. He's gonna hate this scene. I don't
Was
know
there
what
a shake weight? I know that was Brock.
I don't know what the joke is. Someone send me a link and let me know what the joke is. It's from generic protagonist on Twitter. Why are you so protagonistic, man? He says, thoughts on Bendis' first decision as Superman writer being to immediately torpedo the best status quo it's had in many years.
I mean, isn't that exactly his status quo?
What? To jettison what's come before and do something
What's
different?
the status?
Yeah.
I assume he's talking about the family.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Even I know about this, and I stay off spoilers. I mean, like, isn't that exactly Bendis' shtick?
Wait,
Is it not?
the family's gone?
So,
No, not dead, just separated. That's.
If we want to talk spoilers, I'll go into spoilers. But
Hashtag hit the hub.
well, so there is a new Super Sun series coming out, and Bendis has already said, I mean, this isn't like, these characters aren't gone for my entire run. They're gone for like a story arc. Like, they're coming
Yeah.
Well,
back.
yeah. Well, and the thing that the Adventures of Super Sons, the book that's coming out, is stuff that happened during Tomasi's run that they didn't put in there. So this is just more antics with Damien and Jonathan.
Yeah.
So is the question, what do we think of it?
Yeah. I mean, getting rid of Lois and John for a story arc or two, that's fine if he wants to focus on Superman and Clark. That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be gone forever. I mean,
well,
if he killed them...
even the way they set it up within the books is not a, like, anything's actually changed. It's
Right.
Right.
They went off on vacation without Superman.
Yeah, we
right.
were talking about this last week or 2 weeks ago. We're like, there's a mystery. We don't know what the mystery is. Well, now we know, right? So, yeah, they took off with Jor-El, and
Well, I have a question though.
they'll be back.
For Charlie, Ryan, Brock, somebody knows the answer to this because I really don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't say my name. I probably don't know the answer.
Well, I really liked that Man of Steel miniseries, and that lineup of artists.
Oh, killer.
that's like a lineup I would have picked as a dream lineup of currently.
He called all his friends and said, "Do
currently
you want to do
working
an issue of
artists.
Superman?"
Okay, but is the Jor-El? I know he's that Mr. Oz from that Mr.
Yeah,
Oz storyline.
yeah.
Is that the Jor-El of some alternate reality, or is that
No.
Superman's Jor-El?
He was
That is
Yeah, isn't that
So-
garbage.
Yeah,
okay.
but
so
that's not. That wasn't from him. That was what was it?
Wait,
Tomasi?
I
No,
don't-
I know that was pre-Bendis.
I don't want.
know
I don't
that.
want to. I'm going to interrupt Charlie just for 1 second. That is only if you believe the Rebirth universe is 100% the real universe, right? It's elements from different places kind of put together. Is that Jor-El the pre-crisis or crisis Jor-El, or is it just sort of like the modern,
The New
like
52
the New
Jor-El?
52 or equivalent of it? And I think that's what we're going to find out is that there's
Okay.
again, as the worlds are still being.
Either way, it's a Jor-El that was plucked out of time because of the Watchmen stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's not that he survived the explosion of Krypton.
No, he was taken out by
Okay.
It is implied by Dr. Manhattan.
Okay. Okay. So because there are just some fundamental tenets of the characters you just don't mess with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it'd be like Martha Wayne suddenly showing up at the door of the manor and being like, "I've had amnesia for the last 30 years since I got shot in that alley. What's happening, my son?"
Yeah.
You'd roll your eyes out of your head and go,
Yeah,
And
fuck that shit.
my assumption, so being into comics as long as I have, I've rolled my eyes a number of times just to find out that it was some bad guy fucking with Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, I could see them going through this arc and then post Doomsday Clock, whatever that thing is going to end up turning into. All these things go away intentionally.
Well,
But
I think
who knows?
what Rebirth has really established, especially for Superman, because Superman has been so successful since the Rebirth launch, but with the Superman series that Tomasi wrote, that we brought in more of a relationship with Jonathan and Clark, and it was
and Jurgen's action.
that was the other one, was Jurgen's action, where it was just that back to that really just action packed kind of Superman story that we've all been missing out on. We got a glimpse of it when Johns was writing it for a little while. But I think that you established this just a really solid base for Superman, and you come out of you're coming out of the New 52. You're coming into this, and you're like, okay, all of this is working. We get Brian Michael Bendis, cool. Let's give him Superman and burn everything that everybody's liked. And I don't think that's the best thing to do.
So there are certain aspects of what Bendis is doing that, yes, I kind of look at him like he's doing a lot of weird kind of retconning and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm completely willing to sit back and say, I just want to see what he does with it. And as I said, in a weird way, I kind of feel like Bendis removed Lois and John from the story because in a weird way, they hold Superman
Back.
well.
Jesus,
yes,
fucking spit it out.
but I'm trying to formulate the next part of so
Yeah, well,
basically
you're not
he
succeeding.
holds them back for going through the question.
I hope that everybody's listening to
Okay.
this at 1.5 speed.
the
Christ.
what Bendis did to Kandor and what yeah, I know. It is insane. And the direction he's taken a lot of this with, I don't remember the name of the villain right off the top of my head right now, but basically the fact that they're doing this whole, he actually killed Krypton or did he, the fact that he was working with the Guardians and all these other people who told him not to, and then it happened, and then immediately shows up and destroys Kandor, there's a lot of interesting building blocks that I don't know how the story would change if you also had John and Lois thrown into the mix, especially because...
What the fuck was that? Toby just almost fell and broke my entire register.
For the love of God, we don't need Charlie to have any more distractions. Can you just finish your thought?
So,
You sound like
in
me,
general,
much
it's
slower.
one of those things where there's a lot of what he's doing in the story that my mind instinctually kind of goes, I really don't like a lot of these ideas, but it's Bendis. I'm willing to see where he goes with it because he has a track record of taking certain things that I would be resistant towards and making them work.
Yeah, I don't know if that came up on the podcast, but
Nice burp, Toby.
yeah, thank you, Toby. Ding dong. Whatever. Just give it 6 issues, 8 issues. We'll see where this goes. I love Superman. I love Tomasi's run. I love Jonathan. I love Lois. I love everything they've done with these characters in the last couple of years. I'm okay with an arc or two off, and then we'll just see where they come.
Well,
back.
I think it's a good kind of cleanser, right? It's like let's focus on Superman.
Yes, that's a good way to wrap it up. Let's move on to Talon Bray. He says, does anyone in the show ever get tired of reading the big two? Yeah, we apparently all hate everything everyone publishes constantly, so we just keep coming back. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with us.
Isola's been good.
Isola?
Isola?
Image book?
Mm-hmm. I've
What
been
is
in Oblivion song.
Jimmy.
You need to read Die, Die, Die.
Yeah, I do. Jimmy says, any of you crazy kids going to Comic-Con?
Well,
Half of the table.
The right side of the table's going.
Why do you got to clump me on the left?
Charlie's going. Toby's going, as always.
Ryan is not going.
I'm not going.
He was supposed to.
I'm supposed to go, but I'm
He
not.
changed his plans.
Kevin Sharp's going.
bait and switched the entire podcast crew.
Yeah.
I would love to go. I've never been. I would absolutely love to go, but have not been yet. But now, maybe next year. Maybe next year. It depends if we get a critical mass. Because I'm like an atom, motherfuckers. I go towards the... No, that's not science.
That's the answer to that question. Keith Amaral says, I started collecting...
Aren't you going to talk... Okay.
No, yeah. These guys are going to Comic-Con. Go have a meetup or something. Go meet these crazy guys.
I'm sure there'll be a scintillating podcast episode.
Yeah. I want to hear the adventures. I can't wait. I'll be watching the Aquaman trailer from right over there. Keith Amaral says, I started collecting the Marvel trading cards before I ever picked up a comic. Me too.
Oh, good choice, sir.
Is your shop carrying those new... I haven't heard of this. Those new, insanely expensive Fleer Ultra X-Men cards. I want to buy a pack for sheer nostalgia, but I see boxes for $150 containing 12 packs of 6 cards. So they're 12 packs for $150 with only 6 cards in it.
How many are in this set?
I mean, I have no idea. If there's new Fleer Ultra X-Men cards, I've not heard of this.
Ryan looked at the price and went, no.
No, I didn't even know these existed.
He looked at the price and he just went out of his memory, like the silence.
I look at the price, I see the price, it goes out of my memory, and then I ask for a full complete set from Higgins that I can buy.
Oh, it'd be...
Fleer X-Men Ultra cards, can I use them to cast Fireball with Archmage Antonitis?
It'd be super.
Is it a full set at least at that price?
What? Of course not. 12 packs by 6 cards?
Yeah.
How big do you think this set is?
I don't know. 12 cards?
Do you know what 12 times 6 is?
No.
Holy motherfuck. Okay, look, let's just say 72. That if they're going to have a new, X-Men Fleer Ultra whatever the fuck set, it's going to be more than 100 cards, I promise you.
No.
Honestly, I'm just wondering if it's a...
When?
All the time. It's not a special edition.
As if my hyperbole wasn't enough. No. All the time.
Yeah.
Fleer does...
Every Comic-Con.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. All the time?
No, I'm serious.
Listen to yourself all the time.
I'm serious. There are a lot smaller sets than the regular 300 card sets.
Okay, why don't you name me 2 ever Fleer Ultra whatever the fuck sets that were under 100 cards?
There's been plenty.
I believe you. You said many, plenty, multiple, a lot.
Ryan, are you actually
You've used a lot of fucking...
Ryan, a shout out to the questioner for coming up with a topic that caused yelling and controversy.
Well, it was about time. I've been way too calm. Way too calm.
Everything else was just informational and peaceful.
So I don't know if the $150 is retail, but let me give you the breakdown for the 2018 Fleer Ultra X-Men set. Let me get the full list here. There is, I believe I saw, there is a 150 card base set.
What?
A silver foil of 1 per pack, a gold foil limited to 99, and one-of-a-kind red canvas foil of each card. There's a bunch of different inserts. There's a metal blaster, which is 1 in 2 packs, a precious metal gem. There is a bronze, which is limited to 199, red 99, blue 49, green 25, purple 10, and gold 1 of 1. 1 of 1 card. If you get the gold version, it's 1 of 1.
I know which one Bryce wants.
This
X
fucking
Cuts, which is 1 out of 20
works
packs.
for Fleer, confirmed.
X Cuts is limited to 1 out of 20 packs, which is a red limited to 99, yellow at 50, blue to 25, and black. So there's 5 of these in existence.
What the fuck is this bullshit?
This is fucking
And then there's a
bullshit.
Master of Magnetism, is a 15-card set just
Okay,
for
man.
Magneto. There are autographs, relics, and sketch cards. Actual panels from earlier issues going all the way back to X-Men #1 from 1993. No, no, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. There are limited one copy sketch cards and a artist red foil autograph limited to 50 by the Hildebrands. So there's 6 cards per pack, 12 packs per box, 12 boxes per case. There's 150 cards in the set, 12 subsets, 12 silver foil, 1 gold foil, 6 metal blasters, 2 stacks, 1 X-cut, 1 precious metal, 1 puzzle card. Jesus Christ. Okay. Here is the average per half case, okay?
Well, you have to bring all the gimmicks if you're going to bring back cards.
3 to 4 of the stamped buybacks, 3 to 4 autographs, 2 to 3 cut comic panels, 2 Master Magnetism cards, 1 to 2 jambalaya, I don't know what that is, and 1 to 2 sketch cards. That is redonkulous.
So
And maybe
how
that's
many-
why they're going
how
for
many-
so much money.
How many boxes would you have to buy to maybe get a set of the base?
You could do it in a couple boxes. You could do it in half a case. No, you could do it in
is
three
your store
three
carrying
boxes.
these?
No, I've never even seen these. Apparently, they're super expensive. So no, we're not going to carry these.
I'm going to totally have you look these up tomorrow.
Yeah,
Somebody's
well,
going to order them on a Comic Cup.
Ding dong.
Alex.
Charlie, you want to split a case?
I'm just wondering if we should race to the cable card.
Alex says,
There's no race. I'm way faster than you, motherfucker.
what are some errors that might get the first 2 issues of a book like Justice League Odyssey scrapped and any other stories like that? I don't know if you guys heard this. They canceled the first 2 issues of Justice League Odyssey and are totally redoing the book. Joshua Williamson and Stephen Sedgwick, he's the artist. Or Stefan Sedgwick. Yeah, it's been pushed way back, and nobody knows why, at least as of now.
Is Odyssey the one with Lex Luthor on the Justice League?
No, it's this Odyssey's the one with Darkseid.
Yep, the space one. So I have to assume that there was like a plot direction that they were going for their first arc, where Snyder and DC editorial said, "No, we gotta go this way." That's the only way this happens. The creators don't do it. It's editorial. Is the only reason this happens. Something major happened where they went. They approved something and they said, no, we're going to go in a completely different direction. Now it's possible Sedgwick was just not getting the art done, but he's a competent artist. He's amazing. He gets his artwork done, and he still has time for variant covers. So I don't think that's the case. It has to be the fact that they want to completely go in a different direction with the title, and I don't know what that would mean. But
Could it have been something to do with John's stepping down and coming back?
maybe, but I don't see why. I don't think it would affect those titles unless they were going to introduce a Legion of Superheroes in that book. Maybe that'd be like the only thing I can
Well,
think
they had
of.
a Space Joker, and they said no, we can't go that route because we
Space
only
Joker?
have 3.
No.
Wow. I hate acknowledging
I know.
good jokes by you.
It's from Hoot
But that was
86.
good.
He's from the Xavier. He's an alumni from the Xavier Institute. He says that's what his title
My
says.
man,
So there you go.
let's have it. I'll answer it all by myself, unless it's about DC, in which case your question can go fuck itself.
All right. Well, do you think the Heroes in Crisis will lead into a Booster Gold ongoing comic? Only if it's by Tom King. Booster Gold book by Tom King, and I'm not even going to pronounce his name because I can never pronounce it correctly.
Mitch
Gerrits. I've asked.
It's pronounced Heroes.
I never remember. They have to do a 12-issue Booster Gold series after Mr. Miracle.
Okay, I
That's
have
all
a
I'm
serious
saying.
question.
That's the greatest thing of all time.
I have a serious question. How many hipster characters does Tom King need to write before you get off his dick?
No, the question. No, this is my question. Does he need to write a Booster Gold book,
or
is it no? Or is it more he just needs to write a Skeet book that features Booster
cards.
Gold?
He
Tom
has.
King, skeet. Wait, what?
72 cards for a set, base set.
Have you been?
It said 150 on the thing I just read.
Have you been Googling
72
this ever
72
since?
per box.
This
72.
is Orphan Black.
Yeah.
Oh.
72 cards.
You've been
That's
Googling
it.
this ever since I issued the challenge.
Because
at
I
which
know
point
it happened.
I subsequently fell asleep, watched a World Cup game, came back
whatever,
to
motherfucker,
consciousness, and you finally found one?
It happened multiple times. To do these specialized sets, they're like more higher quality.
You said plenty of times.
cards.
I believe you.
Lesser cards?
That's the first one, and it took you 20 minutes to find. Let's.
Ryan,
Yes.
Tom, you pick
Don't
Tom.
be a fucking dick, motherfucker.
Jesus.
Tom
settle
King.
down.
Tom King writing an ongoing Legion, Booster Gold, Classic New Warriors, or Rich Rider Nova. Pick one.
I'm just too busy going all in the same book.
Pick one, not a limited series, an ongoing.
He's gonna
You
go.
have one ongoing, and you can have one extra as limited of those four.
He's gonna pick Legion as the ongoing.
For the listeners, you should see the contortions of his face right now.
He's gonna pick Legion
was
as the
Legion-
ongoing and Nova as the.
It was
limited.
Legion, New Warriors, Nova, and what?
Booster.
Oh, Booster. See,
So you get a 12 issue for one and an ongoing for another.
Well, these days the 12 issue mini is as good as
it's just ongoing.
At Marvel.
Toby, you can put the foot down. I believe you. Unequivocal.
I'm actually gonna shock myself. I'm gonna say ongoing booster. The reason is Booster Gold allows him to explore basically anything in the DC universe, past, present, or future. Legion is generally stuck in the future with limited.
Well, except when they go back to pick up Superboy.
Yeah, limited dealing with the current universe, right?
Well, you say that, except that, like, in the books that he's written, although amazing, and I love Tom King, that's not even a question, but, like, he doesn't explore necessarily a whole lot. He, like, picks one thing.
But he could, is what I'm saying. Booster could go to every major event in the DC universe, and Tom King could have his little spin on it.
Jesus Christ! Every big event in DC, Tom King'd.
Not. I don't want to see Tom King redo Crisis. I want to see Tom King have Booster Gold go to Crisis and be like, how do I save one person? What do I do here? Right?
Okay.
Like,
So
I'd be curious with that.
What's your
So what's
limited
your
series? You got Nova, Classic New Warriors, or Legion.
I'd rather see him. I mean, I would see the New Warriors. He doesn't do a lot of team stuff. That'd be interesting. I mean, I love
He did
Nova,
Omega Man.
but he comes with the classic New Warriors. So that's best.
He did
yeah,
Omega Man.
I think yeah. I'd love to see him do Legion. I mean, I'd love to see him do anything. So this is really not a bad.
So here, back to Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah, here's a Crisis.
Which people need to know about.
Yeah, it's in the new previews. I'm gonna sign up everyone that gets Batman and Tom King and all that stuff. It's a Tom King book. It's gonna be incredible. Jesus says, I know there's some people who are unhappy about the ending of Batman 50. Not me, he says. I love it. But do you think he wrote multiple endings and then finally chose which ending he liked best? No. No, this is just the way. This is always the way it was going to go.
They both jumped off the buildings and died.
Yeah. Toby did the Toby outro.
That's what I thought, too. Toby and I agreed on that. That they committed suicide.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just the angle of their bodies.
Yeah.
They didn't have, like, one leg propped up like they were leaping to another ledge.
I mean, I literally called Ryan going, did they commit suicide?
Dude.
I mean, I was serious when I asked you that.
They were swan diving off of building edges.
Oh, I haven't told Toby to go look at the end of Flash. Yeah, you have to go look at the end of Flash. Look at the third to last page on Flash. But don't yell spoilers. This episode's
Don't
going
run
on
into
tonight.
his statue.
Oh, that is not mint condition anymore, Charlie. Oh, dear, Toby. That was...
No, the best is Charlie has a copy
Let's
right
talk
here.
some more about Batman 50. I don't think there's been enough. I think there's further corners
2.5
to
hours.
He's already
explore.
there.
Well,
Troll Kevin Sharp.
this is actually something that we didn't talk about when we were talking about
He's picking it off the wall.
when we were talking about Die earlier.
Just wait. Wait.
This is from Chris. He says, thoughts on Kirkman's Die Die surprise series. Do you have any pull customers on Oblivion Song? Yeah, we do. We have a lot. Assuming these books are returnable, or did they just get sent the number of copies of Oblivion Song that you ordered? And so what they did was they sent the equivalent that we ordered on our initial order of Oblivion Song. What sucks is I actually did a big reorder of Oblivion Song before it shipped. So had I done that on initial, I would have got way more copies of Die, which would have been really cool. But I just got the initial order, which is still a lot of copies. But
You can still order them.
yeah, they're still
Diamond's
available. So they have the book is in stock. So I don't think this is going to be like a hard to get book, but people are going crazy for it right now. And final question.
It's never a final question.
It's from Neaselbub on Twitter. He says, do you think there will be a more recently created hero that will become as iconic as Batman or Superman?
Here would be my answer. No, for this reason. Because I think what we talked about with the Ditko discussion, I don't think that a creator now is going to want to, quote, give DC or Marvel the next Batman or Superman.
Correct.
And I don't think a creator-owned book...
But Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Okay, well, see, you just answered it. You answered the
Don't be
person's
an asshole.
question.
Cosmic Ghost Rider is awesome.
I don't think a creator-owned book will ever reach that stature, and I don't think a creator will want to create a character for work for hire that they won't own.
I mean, we were just talking about Kirkman. I mean, I don't think a comic creator has been more successful than Walking Dead, and I would not put Walking Dead in the same cultural relevance through the next 100 years of human history as Batman and Superman, right? And I think Walking Dead is the closest thing we've had to an independent comic. I mean, Walking Dead is the most successful independent comic of all time. I don't think anyone would argue with that. I can't think of anything
more than Spawn.
Yeah, more than Spawn. I don't think anything would even comes close.
It's got a record-breaking TV show, but does it have 2 movies? 2 Hollywood movies?
It has one, that's for sure. We'll see about that second one.
I mean, either way,
It had the animated.
No, Spawn. Spawn had one, and we'll.
But it had it was also animated.
It's got Jeremy Renner. It's got Jamie Foxx.
What could go wrong?
It has got my. What does that mean? What could go wrong? Directed by.
Todd McFarlane.
Shut the front door. It is not directed by Todd.
Yeah.
Okay, that will never happen. It is not really supposed to be directed by him. Holy smokes!
Written and directed.
Does he have any directing
Kevin Sharp, grab
credentials?
the microphone while you're talking.
I thought Toby was going to chime in on
No,
Flash.
he's playing Marvel Puzzle Quest. No, don't talk about Flash. Just everyone should go buy Flash 50.
No, this will be McFarlane's directorial debut.
First and last directorial.
It seems like maybe he.
What do you call your last directorial movie?
Only?
The last, your
final?
Your swan song?
Yeah,
Your one shot.
Your first and his first and last. But no, I mean, okay.
My answer would have been before your much better answers. My answer, excuse me, would have been that all the good ideas have been taken. Kind of like every year and decade that goes by, more and more of the remaining good ideas are gone.
Honest question. Would you put Harry Potter in the same league as Batman and Superman? That is maybe as close as we've had.
Would the fucking nerds at this table? What kind of a question is that?
No, like cultural relevance, long term. Harry Potter is probably the only fictional character I would say in this broad realm of science fiction and fantasy created in the probably in my real lifetime. Star Wars would be the other closest thing.
I would say that there is a generation of children that have seen more Harry Potter in media than Batman and Superman.
So
I don't know if that's going to be true going forward because Batman and Superman keep on producing new content and Harry Potter does not. And before Harry Potter, obviously not.
There's so many movies.
The world of Harry Potter continues.
Yeah.
No, fantastic fucking loser beasts.
but the question,
movies.
at least the question for me becomes a little more
You asked about Harry
along the
Potter,
lines of even outside of comic books like Sherlock Holmes, Robin Hood, King Arthur, there's always been sort of characters that have taken on a life beyond the original creator's sort of take on them. And I think that's what also gives Batman and Superman their longevity is the fact that their sort of creative forces have been kind of ongoing and reimagined and reshown.
Well,
and
a lot of those characters you just talk about have not maintained their kind of importance in pop culture in modern day. I mean, they'll come and go, right? But there's not continuous new adventures of King Arthur.
No, but if you look at Sherlock Holmes as a good example, like, yes, there's times Sherlock Holmes kind of goes on the back burner, but always
long time.
Always resurges in one form or another.
Yeah.
It's called Batman.
But I wouldn't put those characters.
My point basically is even Batman and Superman have gone through lulls of lots of people aware of them.
But there's always been content. I feel you have very few characters. It's the ones that have survived that time. Mickey Mouse, Superman, Batman. Those three.
Spider-Man.
Huh? Spider-Man's way later. Those three are a rare case where they've maintained, and Spider-Man didn't have like any sort of Spider-Man. I would not even consider a popular character until the 90s. With the animated series and then into the movies.
The way I kind of look at this is all the characters you've named kind of have more of a company pushing out content for them rather than individuals. And in terms of Sherlock Holmes, in my lifetime, I've encountered at least 5 or 6 different versions of Sherlock Holmes.
But I would say only one that
4 or 5 different versions of Robin Hood. I've encountered
but there is not a consistent Robin Hood story being told, and I think that's the difference, is that a couple of these, and Harry Potter, I believe in the modern day, Harry Potter is probably as close as we've got. I would say Star Wars did it in the 70s. There were times where Star Wars was a little light, but especially once you hit the late 80s into the early 90s, you had maybe a couple of years after Jedi where there was a little quiet for Star Wars. But Star Wars never stopped after that. We had, obviously, the books and the comics and toys.
Star Wars, I agree with you.
I think Harry Potter is the closest we have.
The reason why I'm a little hesitant on Harry Potter is Star Wars got sort of opened up to not just Lucas telling new he still kept a fair amount of control on it, but not all the books were written by Lucas. Not all the comics were written by Lucas.
No, of course.
He still had sort of a level of approval, but it kind of became Lucasfilm and Lucas this and Lucas that really kind of kept that going and alive and farming out the license and keeping things going. The thing that concerns me about Harry Potter currently, and the reason why I have trouble putting it in the same category, is we really only have a single voice other than sort of the stuff being adapted from that single voice. And that limits the speed content comes out, and that also kind of creates that question of, are they going to go back and do another series of Harry Potter movies unless there's new content produced?
Oh, they will. Rowling's not going to give this up. Warner Brothers isn't going to give this up. It's a huge...
They've built 2 parks.
But, I mean, it's not just the fact that it's continued content. It's the fact that there is a worldwide love of these characters from a specific generation. And I guess my question with Harry Potter is, like Star Wars, we've seen it continue and flourish and become bigger than it ever has been. Can Harry Potter be the next thing that does that? Will Harry Potter be bigger in 20 years?
Does it stay as relevant as, say, Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or a lot of these other things that
Pokemon did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Even though it's more a financial thing than an art thing, but it did its fucking job.
All art things are financial things at the end of the day.
But that's sort of my point, is there's a lot of stuff that has managed to stand the test of time very, very well, continuing to push on.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of stuff that was very popular for a minute.
Oh, and that's what I meant. I mean, they keep shitting out Terminator movies and Alien movies, and they all suck, but they just keep shitting them out. It doesn't matter, right?
Jurassic Park.
I wouldn't say that they have
a
but kinda.
So I think to answer your question, I mean, it's way too soon by your own volition. It's way too early to tell.
Could we agree? Star Wars is probably as close as we've gotten.
I agree.
Star Wars kept on going, and I'm not sure if there would have been a resurgence if they didn't have the decade later trilogy movie that got all the nerds rehyped. And then the next trilogy movie a decade after that.
But even then, if it was just the original movies without the books and comics and toys, and I mean, can you think of a time in your life where you couldn't walk into a Toys R Us? Well, not a Toys R Us. We'll scrap that.
Right now,
Target, and not see a Star Wars toy.
No.
I mean, you're asking the wrong person, but I believe you. Whatever you're saying,
I'm just saying in general, there are certain things that through my entire life have been constant. I could always find a Star Wars toy. I could always find a Batman toy.
Yep.
There's never been a time in my life
with Superman and
where
Batman,
those were not
Okay, but how many adults are buying toys, Charlie?
No, lots
plenty.
now. Lots now.
Even beyond that, I'm just saying
My bad.
the idea that I could, which means there was enough interest to have toys produced, even if they were for kids or whatnot.
I mean, how many times has Lego put out like a Millennium Falcon or an AT-AT or...
Even then, that they have done it a number of times, but
The AT&T a little less than you think, but the Falcon has come up 4 or 5 times now.
but my point basically
I'm more
is
of a Verizon guy.
there is definitely a
AT&T, no.
sustainability to the way they have handled the Star Wars property that made it take on a life even outside of the movies, outside of the TV shows and everything
Well, and that's
else.
what
Like it
Batman
is,
and Superman, they started in the comics, but their popularity comes from the radio dramas, from the black and white movies, from the Adam West TV show, from the '89 Batman movie, from
The Christopher Reeve movie.
Smallville, right? I mean, the stuff outside the source material is what made Batman and Superman really take off, and to become just permanent fixtures of Americana. In a similar fashion, Star Wars, it was the fact that there was so much additional material that kept interest going. And like I said, I think Harry Potter is kind of as close as we've gotten. There are other properties that are popular that continue to put out material, but I just don't think they have the reach as those 4 specific ones.
So,
and Disney, obviously.
I'm kind of curious to see what happens with, because I mean, like, obviously they're doing the Lord of the Rings TV show now, but there was a moment in time where I probably would have been like, Lord of the Rings, because it seemed like it was the biggest thing going, movies and tension, and now it's like, oh, they're doing a new TV show, and TV show might ramp up the interest again, but it does feel like it.
I think with Harry Potter, it's the fact that you have a new generation of kids constantly being able to read the same material and go see those movies. And so the kids that weren't born, or the kids that were born 10 years ago, can experience it now.
Well,
people 20 years ago.
It's the people.
Harry Potter's 20 years old. Holy crap.
The thing that about that for me, and this goes into how people watch stuff now. Sure, kids can discover those movies. That's great. That will take most kids a weekend to get through.
No, but the books as well.
But the
books are as popular now as they ever have been.
You have to remember.
Huge sellers.
Harry Potter is 20 years old now, right?
Yep.
If a kid picked up that book at 7 or 8, that person is 27, 28 years old.
Yeah, they're going to Harry Potter world, and
they have
to
kids. They're going to have kids. They're going to give their kids it's same thing with Star Wars.
Orlando.
If you introduce this stuff to the next generation, like Charlie, how much stuff have you introduced to your kids that you enjoyed as a child?
Yes, but I would say my level of fandom on something like Star Wars is infinitely bigger than the level of fandom
I love Star Wars better than my kids.
Than I have seen from my kids. My kids have never asked me for like a Darth Vader toy or a Luke Skywalker toy or...
Well, anyway, for my piece, I will say that another contributing factor that hasn't been brought up yet is, and I could be totally wrong about this, and I will ask Kevin to correct me, but only because he's the historian of the respected historian of the podcast. I would say that it has a lot to do with how little distraction there was when Batman and Superman came out. There was much less to be distracted by. And so their sort of continued presence sort of solidified their, I guess, evergreenness. There's, I'm sure, a better word for that. But whereas nowadays, there's a million distractions and a million people trying to take your money and a million different franchises all trying to be the next big thing. And so even Harry Potter has to deal with a bunch of hangers-on. And there is so much more dilution nowadays than there was. That is another reason that you will be much harder pressed to find another sort of longevity laden, pop culture classic.
I would say longevity is difficult, but you have things that grab a huge portion of the audience's attention all at one time. Obviously, the superhero movies dominate movies. Period. It's not even close, right?
30 years ago, people were like, superhero movies suck. They would never make money. Now it's like, let's just make one.
look at Fortnite, the game, right? I mean, nothing has been anything even close to this in gaming history. Just the dominance that game has over the industry and how short. Now, I don't know about the long-term nature of something like Fortnite.
Which is exactly what you're asking about, though.
But you have stuff like Minecraft that has been
that exploded, but now it's kind of...
No. Minecraft is huge on a level that we do not comprehend. Minecraft is Fortnite is probably the biggest current played game. Minecraft is the most broadest game on the market right now. It is ridiculous how many people play. And obviously things like video games and other pop culture kind of what's the word I'm looking for, not pop culture. Other styles and types of entertainment can become the next Star Wars. I don't know that it's Minecraft or something like Fortnite, but we just don't know. But I think if you look 20 years in the future, I don't see why Harry Potter would not be something that continues to be popular, whereas a lot of stuff that's popular now sort of falls by the wayside. And we're gonna wrap up. We're way over time here.
I wanted to bring up...
it's okay.
Yeah, I was going to do Ant-Man.
I wanted to bring up
Should have been here an hour and 15 minutes
reverse
ago.
flag.
We have to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast.
We don't have to wrap up.
We are going to. Thank you to our good friends that kick us some money over at Patreon, including Julie Titus of the Nerds of the Pants podcast. That's at pixelbit.com. Go check out those guys. Listen to their podcast. Ryan Hess has Blowhards, which is a video game podcast at blowhards.libsyn.com. Jody Lawson is Canon, the Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicstudios.com. Larry Davis has just Stand to Deliver JoJo's Bizarre Adventure podcast. Make sure you check that out on iTunes. And our good friends Sam Che, Craig Anderson, Joe Duff, Andrew Nelson Mendez, and Darfox8 over at Manga Machinations. Thank you guys all very, very much for your continued donation, as well as everyone that kicks us back some money at patreon.com/comic conspiracy, whereas for comics conspiracy,
it's
comic conspiracy. Yeah, there we go. No S. Whereas for as little as $1 a month, you can help us keep this podcast going, give us money to pay for hosting fees and buying some new mics and cables, because we're going to have to do that because I think we had a bad mic. We may have had a bad mic this entire episode. I won't know till we finish uploading it. So,
considering these mics are like 10 years old.
Yeah, they've been around for a while, so time to upgrade. The Comic Conspiracy can be found at comicconspiracypodcast.com. Geekbox.net, iTunes, and now on YouTube. Thanks to my good friends over at Libsyn. They're hooking us up, and they're adding all our episodes in chronological order to YouTube. So if you jump over to facebook.com/groups/the Geekbox. Or no, just Geekbox, I think it is. We have a link in there, which will be a link to our YouTube page. If a few more people subscribe to us, we're able to get our custom URL, so then we can have a normal URL where you can go listen to all these episodes on YouTube. Because, I mean, maybe you're listening to this on your phone or whatever, but people just like YouTube for everything. So they're just going to be there.
Don't get too excited. You cannot see us on YouTube, contrary to popular belief. That is the different
just audio
Patreon tier.
Maybe we'll do some of those too.
If you want to see Toby's silky locks, you're going to have to get us to that next Patreon bump.
The Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net. That is our email. We've got some long-form questions in there if you want to send us over something. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That is our digital storefront. You can buy lots of good comics from there. And I should also plug comicsconspiracy.biz, which is our traditional store website. Now fully powered by Comic Hub. Hashtag love the hub.
Hashtag hate the hub.
And Brock's packing skills.
Where if you want to order Die #1, it'll be available on comicsconspiracy.biz in the morning, please. I don't know what I'm going to do if people try to order like 50 copies. Don't do that. Maybe I can because they're available on Diamond. I'll just order more. That's cool too.
You need to put a cap on the online order.
I don't know how to do that.
There needs to be a cap.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
I don't want somebody coming in going, I'm going to buy 100 copies of your Batman 50.
I'd do that. That's totally fine. It's still available.
I'm just saying like before.
Comicsconspiracy.biz is our entire store inventory. The vast majority of our inventory is on there. You can purchase comics directly from us there. It's all automated. Takes credit cards, PayPal, reasonable shipping rates, I think. Brock packs everything very well. So, and the most important thing is when you order, the hub goes ding dong. And so whoever's here has to go, God damn the hub, ding dong. I got to get rid of that ding dong. And they have to accept the order. So that's the sound of money, according to Comic Hub, is that ding dong. So
No, the sound of money is the thing you hear on your app when your eBay app tells you got money. Cha-ching!
Conspiratedbrock.com, that's Brock's blog and video pull list. Check that out. Wanders in the Fourth Dimension podcast, that is Charlie's Doctor Who podcast. It's on iTunes, as well as etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. That is my wife, Leanne. That is her Etsy store. Go pick up some prints from her there. We're all on Twitter. I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager. Bryce Larsen is Larsen Bryce. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie is Insanity and Chaos. The store is Comics Con Store. Kevin Sharp is That's Kevin Sharp. Yeah, there we go. Geekbox, Comedy Button, Among Machinations, and Infinite Binge on YouTube. Check those guys out. Thank you guys for another wonderful episode, and we'll catch you next week.